Welcome to the Holding Priority Podcast, the Magic the Gathering CDH podcast. I'm Cardboard Cryptid.
And I'm the game of ghost.
And I'm Wizard's Whimsy.
On today's episode, we have a special guest. We'll be discussing all of our tournaments for last month to present.
It's been a lot of them. I think me and Whimsy and Cryptid went to like 2 or 3 together.
Yeah.
And then I've probably done 5 or 6. It's just crazy.
Definitely a fun time for
Yeah.
sure.
Where can they find you if they like your sultry voice?
Oh, on YouTube, it's Wizard's Whimsy, and that's pretty much where I post all my videos at. Want put links out on Facebook and on Instagram, but other than that, just look up Wizard's Whimsy.
How often do you upload? Like pretty often, huh?
I try to upload at least once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of content there.
Yeah. You have a lot of subscribers too. I think you're at like what, almost 450 now?
Yeah, I'm moving up, and hopefully I get to that magic 1,000 number.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping to.
Yeah. I mean, first we need to hit 100, then
We're getting
1,000.
there.
Before we get into it, let's go into today's shuffle up. All right, we've got some new comments. One of it, which is Wizard's Whimsy's comment. So I'll let him read his own.
Another great video. I'm surprised at the number of cards you picked. I felt the set and commander decks are good, like better than Aether Drift, but it doesn't feel like they're pushed.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job with Talk here. Aether Drift had Hashton, the best Esper commander ever printed, but other than that, this set looks pretty fun.
I'm pretty happy with Voice of Victory.
Oh yeah. Won a game with that.
It's really a powerful card.
We have 2 more comments on our last commander video for Takir. If you guys haven't checked that out and looking at the analytics for that video, you probably have not. We did an entire video on just the commander cards of the set. So we have a main set video and the commander cards. Hazard Man TV says, I think Areni of the Unwritten will be a CEDH contender for sure. A little slow, but a great grind plan. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty similar to Atali, but with blue, which I've already seen a couple of people that play Atali picking that commander up. So I think that's pretty cool. And then Alex Fabian 2974 said, I did a pre-release for this set. So much fun. Yeah, same. It was a lot of fun. And then before we get into the actual content, just a reminder, we do have a link tree. On that link tree has all of our social media, YouTube, our TCG player affiliate link. It's a free link that you can click. Doesn't cost you anything, helps out the channel a bunch, lets them know that we sent you over. And then also, if you're on YouTube, please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And if you're listening on any podcast platform, please be sure to auto download. We've been seeing a whole bunch of different countries listening to the podcast, which is really cool. I think we have like 10 bi-weekly viewers in Germany, which is really cool to see. We have like 5 different countries that have like double to triple digits. So pretty cool. And we're
That's awesome.
getting really, really close to that 4,000 download mark, which hopefully we hit it with this video.
And you're spanning the globe.
Yeah. I mean, we had Korea, Germany, a lot of European countries, surprisingly. Australia is another one that's just like way up there too. So
You know, I'd be kind of curious if they play CEDH over there, what the big difference they hear with us to them would be as far as like decks and things that
we
they see.
we might have a collab coming up with one of the European CDH players.
Oh, really?
We're gonna play on their channel over Spell Table. But I was talking to him a little bit about it, and really the only difference is where they get their cards. So
Oh, really? That's
yeah,
awesome.
which maybe we'll get a European affiliate link with how many people listen from there. But yeah, if you're in the US or you use TCG Player in another country, please use our affiliate link. All right, well, let's get into the actual content. So we did 3 different tournaments between all 3 of us. Gusher Crusher, what was it, 3, I think? Um, 3rd Gusher Crusher, which is our local tournament, all 3 of us did that. It was the Hunter Burton Memorial in Dallas that you did?
That was a big one. It had some really big names there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I also did a couple in on the outside of Houston.
Oh,
Was
yeah, yeah, those, like, weekend ones, yeah.
like two of them.
And then, Cyphicon, which was in Louisiana. So we've been, like, all over Texas, all over Louisiana this last month. It's been a lot of fun. All right. Well, let's get into the Gusher Crusher. This one, it was a 3-round tournament, so we're probably not gonna get into, like, a whole bunch of detail on it. Let's start with round 1. Um, Ghost, if you wanna start, and then we'll do clockwise since there's multiple of us now.
Yeah. Um, round one for me wasn't too memorable. Um, I know there was some big players at the table. It was a Sisse, a Thras Rog. I was playing Tivit, and I can't remember. Oh, it was a Yuriko. And initially, it was kind of a standoff for a while, and we got to a point where me and Yuriko were talking. And I was like, we can't. I can stop this person if you can stop this person type of feel. And Yuriko ended up stopping the last person by Thassaing out. So,
Yeah,
I mean, kudos
fair.
to
Yeah.
him, but he never said he wasn't going to win. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, it was a really interesting game because the Sisse player was cooking from the start, and the Rog Thrasios is always a weird deck as far as the win lines. So it was probably my second tournament. I had seen it at the big tournament I played, but just to really see it going through all of its shenanigans with the is it candelabra, something like that,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
chandelabra. But yeah, I was pretty surprised Yuriko won. I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, Yuriko is a inevitability. Like, it just given enough time, it will win.
Well,
Like,
it's funny because it wasn't even really
yeah, it was
Yuriko.
just Thassa.
Yeah, it was like, well, this is a good time for me to toss it out. So
Uh, my round 1 was really simple. So lately in the 3-round tournaments, we've been seeing a lot less buys, where instead of buys, they just do 3-player pods. So I unfortunately in round 1 was a 3-player pod, and it was Kennen in seat 1, Winota in seat 2, and then me on Hashton in seat 3. Uh, Kennen was kind of going as Kennen does. It was probably more of a like budget Kinnan build after we were kind of like looking at the land base, and it was pretty clear the guy, he said that he had only entered because his dad had entered. But I mean he was doing really well. We played him after the tournament.
that was the scary bear deck. Or
No, it was the Kinnan player.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
He started out pretty strong. Winota was just set on locking the board down. Um, they had played a card. It was the creature that makes all non-creature spells cost 1 more.
Folio?
Yeah, Thalia. Which I once I saw that, I was like, "Oh, great! I don't have to worry about Kinnan doing free counters on me."
Yeah,
And basically, what the last round ended up being was pretty much every round was just Winota setting up, me setting up, both of us kind of looking at each other and going like, "Okay, one of us is gonna win," you know? Uh, Kinnan did a Hail Mary, tapped out for a Consecrated Sphinx, but tapped out where everything costs 1 more is not very scary, so they had, like, a full grip of 20 cards, but, like, couldn't cast any free counters or anything like that. Winota put down a Magus of the Moon, tried to lock out all of my lands, but when they played the Magus on the stack, I tapped one of my artifacts for blue, and then let everything turn to mountains, and then tapped an extra mountain to pay for the cost, and Into the Flood mod the thing, and he didn't have enough to put it back down. I ended up cheating out a Razaketh, going getting Thassa, putting the Thassa ETB on the stack, sacrificing the Thassa, getting demonic consultation, and then casting demonic consultation. Thassa's ETB was still on the stack, went all the way down. Wasn't really too worried about anybody doing anything because both of my opponents were tapped out. Again, everything cost one more, which was like pretty nice. So I was pretty sure that even though Kinnan with the 20 cards like couldn't really do much. Um and then I just Thassa comboed out and won my first round.
I think it's pretty cool to see Winota. I think that deck is kind of an unsung hero.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you know it's bad to play, like you know it's coming. Not bad as in you know it's big bad
It's
at the
hard.
table,
Yeah, it's hard to play against. Like everybody needs to go in a little bit on Winota. Like,
but
Well,
it's
and she got some new pieces
yeah,
with
yeah,
this
yeah.
set, so
I I think we may see a little bit of Winotas coming out of the woodworks. I don't think too much though, because they don't.
That new dragon is really good for Winota though.
Yeah, but I feel like that
It
game plan is all one sided,
yeah.
like it goes straight. But I mean, those decks win.
It's pretty clear how to dismantle Winota is I think what keeps it out of like really high level CDH play. Like I think it does really good at like local tables. And then all of a sudden like you go against it and like Winota and Kinnan were the scariest decks whenever Ikoria came out. So I think everybody that's been playing since then knows what to do with Winota.
I was gonna say that too. The fact that you played Kennen and Winota in the same pod is
Yeah.
because they're similar decks.
Yeah.
Um, one just wants infinite mana, and the other
Yeah.
one's just trying to swing in.
And then with Winota, I was like, I know I'm not doing any fancy combos. I know I'm literally just tossing out to get out of this match. So ended up winning it 5 points here.
Yeah.
How was your round one?
well, like you, my round one was a three-man pod, and seat one was Tim Necrom, also known as Blue Farm. I was on Captain America, First Avenger.
And you did not dress like Captain America, correct?
I had my Captain America hat on, so hopefully that counts. And then in third seat was Obnix. Of course, Obnixilis was the big bad at the table. I think me and the Timna player, we spent most of the time, keeping Obnixilis off the board. And then, of course, Tim Crom did also demonic consultation underneath the Ranger Captain sack. So
Yeah.
they took that one pretty good. Captain America, I love the deck. I just don't think that it can get there without putting in some kind of like Thassa combo, and I
Hmm.
really don't want to do that with that deck. So, uh,
Probably like Underworld Breach, Savine.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really needs that other combo just to, I think, be more viable. And it's not a route that I'm willing to take with Cap, but I did get to see, it perform, and I was never able to push for a win. But I was basically policing, you know, Captain America policing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You got pretty close round two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy though, because we've said this a few times. Is the colors Jeskai is just really, it's such a weird combo because you would think it would be really like efficient, but there's like it's missing something.
It's slow because you kind of are dealing with what you have in your mulligan hand,
Yeah.
and you need a lot of rocks in that deck to like keep up. And then sometimes you're like, oh, okay, well I have a bunch of rocks, and you play the hand, and you're just like, oh well, now I have nothing to cast with the rocks. So it's a good balance. I've seen Elsha of the Infinite a couple times have that same thing where it's like first round they like get a whole bunch of rocks, and then they play Elsha, and then their top card is not good, and they're like, "Oh, okay, pass." Like,
Yeah, I've seen that one too, and I've actually lost to that one.
yeah, yeah.
It's a good deck. I think it took the tournament, or it was in the top 4 of that tournament we played because I believe it was
At Gusher Crusher.
no, it wasn't Gusher. It was
Oh, Hunter Burton.
no, it was at a previous like way back over
Mhm.
at Dragon's Nest.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
But
Well, I mean, you do have the Lion's Eye
Yeah,
it
Bomberman.
brain freeze,
Yeah.
it does. It's just it's almost like, is it Temir, which is red green, where you think that it would just gun,
Oh,
but there's
Gruul is red
Gruul,
green. Yeah.
Gruul.
Tamir is when he had blue.
Yeah, blue. Yeah, no, it just I like that color combo because I used to play Zedru, which wasn't necessarily
I
CEDH, but
found that deck.
It's
Yeah,
pretty fun.
I saw it. He it was a gifting deck, and we made custom, sleeves, and this was, like, years ago with, uh, big old smiling Trump with a present, and you would just gift things to everybody that they didn't want. And it was funny running across it yesterday because I was like, "Oh, I don't know if we could play with those sleeves anymore."
It is a funny deck, but I did see a lot of issues with policing because you're in all of the colors to have the you can't do's and then counters
Yeah,
and
and I think that's probably the main problem, especially with my build or how I had is that I tend to end up being more policing than actually gunning. So it could be it's a great deck and I'm just a bad pilot at it, but it's just one of those decks that I think it needs something else. And if you're just going to do a Thassa combo, I mean, there's better colors than just kind to do that in.
I think it does really good at policing, and I think it has once it's set up, it's just like, "Oh my god, I can't have a board anymore." Like he's just gonna keep throwing equipment at me and kill me. But it's like so many people will see that and be like, "Oh man, when this is set up, I'm not gonna be able to stop it. Let me just go get Thassa combo and like
yeah, and
cheap out."
just run out. But anyway,
How
we
was
doing
your
round two.
yeah round two?
So my round two was it was pretty funny because I was playing Tivit. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but going into my round two, I was at a 3-man pod, and I started out by being like, "So guys, this is a bad combo for me because time sieve is almost nothing,"
Yeah.
and then proceeded to time sieve and win.
Yeah.
But it was almost the perfect storm here because we were going back and forth, and it was me on um, Tivit. The other player was playing Glarb, and then the third player was playing Karkashima. So uh, I cast Tivit, and I looked at him, and I was like, "Come on, guys! Like, what am I going to do with Tivit here?" And they were like, "Yeah, that's fine." And I got my treasure, or I got 2 treasures, 3 clues, like the norm, or 2 and 2, because there wasn't another person. And I passed, and Glarb tried to do some shenanigans,
As Glarp does.
and
Yeah.
Karkashima stopped him. And then I seen that he overextended to where they both tapped out, and Glarb pacted some spell that Karkashima was trying to do, and I knew he had to pay his pact. And I was looking at the board and I was like, I can definitely kill Karkashima in this rotation. So on the end of Karkashima's turn, I Whir of Invention, pulled my time sieve out, and counted out the turns. I was like, I can beat the heck out of you.
Mhm.
And I ended up getting enough artifacts just through the deck drawing and stuff to continue. But they were just like, "Oh, crap, I can't do anything now." And I was like, "Win?" And they're like, "Yeah, you got it."
So me and Wizard were both in round two. I believe it was TNT Timna Thrasios first.
No, it was Kenrith was going first, and I was on cap.
That was Kenrith. I
Yeah,
don't think
that
he
was
got his
Kenrith.
commander the entire game.
No, he
Then
didn't. He
okay,
didn't. And then Marnius,
yeah, Marnius Calgar third,
and
and
then
then me on Hashton, and like the entire time I was behind. I went up to 30 lands after this tournament just because I was like, I'm so tired of like being mana screwed. Clearly, it's not just a luck based thing. Like, clearly, this deck needs more. Um, yeah, I didn't. Was there like a Draenith out? Oh
oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, I put a early
yeah.
Draenith out, and then what a few turns later, I was thinking, all right, I'm going to get rid of this Kenrith players with the enduring
Oh yeah,
the
Enduring
green.
Vitality. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna swords that thing and get rid of it.
which exiles, which is
which
important. Yeah.
yeah, it exiles. And then the Marnius guy, he had a Draenith out, and I was, oh my gosh, I was like, I can get Cap out, and then I can actually, try to push, but it's like try to deal with the Kenrith player or try to deal with the one Draenith that shut me down because mine's keeping everybody else off of there. Of course, went for the to get rid of the Kenrith player's card, and he was able to counter that and stop it. I mean, he was actually set up. He was probably
Yeah.
in the the best state as far as, but I guess he relies solely on his commander to win.
Yeah, I mean, Kenrith and like a lot of those green commanders have a lot of setup that they need to do where like there are worlds where I think Valley Flood Caller combo they like with Banishing Knack they can do, but I mean and then they probably run Thassa too, but for the most part, like it was a lot of setup and he was like going to the races real quick. And I saw the Dranath and I was like, unless I just so happen to grab Thassa combo naturally by drawing, like this is a tie. I need to be playing for a tie. And you had a lot of interaction too. And it was kind of funny because like the entire time I was holding a Force of Will, and I think you were holding one too.
Yes, yes.
And the Kenrith player went to play a Grand Abolisher, and I was like, I'm gonna let you know if you play that Grand Abolisher, I will force of will it. And he was just like, really? And I was like, absolutely, it's a Grand Abolisher. And I was like, before you make me do it, I'm just gonna put the force of will out on the table, and then you revealed yours too. And I was like, oh, this is some good politicking right here.
Oh yeah.
And he was just like, all right, I'm not going to. And I just remember as far as like my highlights, it was pretty much just constantly playing for a tie. I remember Marnius got close and they had a tutor. And I again was just like, I got to force a will. What are you getting? If you tell me what you're getting and you show it to me and I like it, you can have it. And then I think they got something else to like make sure that there was a little bit more of a tie. And then I remember on my turn, I think there was like 4 minutes left, and I knew that I wasn't gonna take a 4-minute turn, and the guy across from me was, like, really rushing a whole bunch to try to get his turn, and I'm just like, "Nah, you don't pass with 15 minutes and get another turn, dude. Like, you're not gonna rush me," and then I looked through my hand, and I was like, "I'm gonna be honest, I could take a 4-minute turn. I'm not gonna do that to you, though. What I will do is I'm gonna put a wheel on the stack." It was a windfall. So I was like, if you can win with a completely new set of cards, great. And then I put it on the stack, and there's like a lot of like politicking back and forth between me and him. And he's like wanting us to speed up, but also like when it's his turn and he like has priority, he's like holding the game up, trying to figure out
Yeah.
what he wants to counter. And then he's just like, okay, that's fair, that's fair. And then he passes to you, and you're just like packed in the game. And then I was just like, yeah, he's not getting a turn now because like we have a full stack and the time just went." And he was just like, okay, whatever, whatever. And he was like a little upset, but he found me after that match and was just like, I just hate so many games go to ties in these 3 rounds. And I was like, yeah, I get it. He's like, I'm sorry that I was like a little bit rushy. I just really wanted my turn. I was like, oh no, I get it. I wanted my turn too. I wanted.
Well, so I've played him before in one of the other Gusher Crushers, maybe even both of them. And he'll start off with, kind of slow play
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit. Not super slow where you're going to call a judge, but
Just a lot of building and like a
yeah.
lot of there. I mean, with
And
those
thinking
type of
about like
yeah.
what I'm going to do. And then it's funny that, I think that he was going to like try to push for a win or
Oh,
something like
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that might be the strategy that he uses with that deck is just,
yeah.
let's just wait to the very end and then push that away. It'll be easier. And I think that could be a viable strategy with that deck as long as you're not taking too much time. And I think he might have found that sweet little spot.
Yeah. You kind of have to like look at your deck and go like, okay, my deck's a late game deck, which I mean Kenrith for the most part is, and then you need to kind of like speed the game along. Like I'll notice that I'll do that with Hatchaton because Hatchaton's kind of like mid to late, where I'm like, okay, like we've been talking about this stack for like the last like 5 minutes. Like we need to start making game actions. Like Are you countering yes or no? Cool. You passing? Great. Are you countering yes or no? You
Yeah.
passing? Great. If you play those types of decks, like you just unfortunately have to be like the table mommy or daddy where you're just like, okay, this is enough talking. Like, let's make some game actions. What are you doing? Okay, cool. Pass. You know, like,
Yeah, I definitely get to those positions where it's like you either counter it, or you
yeah.
don't. No, okay, well we're gonna continue. You counter it, no, okay,
Did you use
resolve.
trick bind that game? I remember you
Uh,
used something that I was just like,
yeah, I think I did. I think I did use trick
I
bind
can't
on
remember on
something.
what. Yeah, but I
Uh,
remember I was just like, what do you have in there?
oh, he was he sacking squirrels to the little
Oh, to
Re
Chatterfang.
yeah, was he doing that? That might have been what I
Yeah,
trick bind.
yeah, I think so.
It's funny.
Yeah, I was just like, what spells are in that? deck? But yeah, I mean, it ended up being a tie, which was good for me because in 2 rounds I was 1-1-0, so I had 6 points. And usually in a 3-round tournament, you kind of hope for a good result in every single round because otherwise it's a cut to top four and you're just not getting there. So
Yeah. But yeah, that was it was fun. I mean, most of the times whenever it goes to time, there's a lot of interaction going on. It was great.
yeah.
It was fun to do that. It was fun to see the power that each deck had, and the way that they could actually play and interact with each other. So, I thought it was a fun match. It was probably the funnest match that I'd had up until that point.
Yeah, even being shut out pretty much the entire game, I was just like, okay, like what do I do now? I can see that Marnius, also Esper, was just like, I don't know what to do. I was like, well, I'm not removing the Dranith. I could remove the Dranith, but I'm not unlocking everybody else. Like once two Dranaths hits the board, for the most part, I'm like, oh, this is a tie. Like,
Yeah, you're just there.
how was your round three?
Round 3 with me was, I was 4th seat. There was Marnius, probably the same Marnius y'all had.
Yeah, probably. It's
Um,
the one we know.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it was.
Oh man, what's that commander that's from Lord of the Rings? It's
Sauron?
no, it was the
Argon?
Aragorn.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
5 color or the
yeah.
4 color?
I think it was the 4 color
Okay.
Aragorn. But and then Najila, and then I was Tivit in 4th seat.
That
And
sounds miserable.
it was I so I was already in 4th seat, and Marnius, I don't really know what it does a whole lot. I know it's Esper.
It draws off Smothering Tithe. That's basically what it
I
does.
mean I mean, cool, but it's not really there, right? And I knew that I could win for sure, but I can't outpace Najila. Not
Yeah.
not in 4th seat.
Marnius is like super Esper. Like it farms. That's and then like sometimes it farms into Thassa combo, sometimes it farms into something different. I mean, you also have like what a 3/5 double strike commander too. So,
It The game got really funny really quick,
yeah.
but it ended up me being pointing at Najila and being like, "Guys, look, like I know Najila's beating the hell out of me, but she is gonna turn to y'all
yeah.
and drop y'all, and I have no blockers right now."
Well, also like while she's beating you, I'm sure she's getting a bunch of
Oh
warriors
yeah,
too.
that's what was
Yeah.
happening,
That's the huge problem. Like
and I don't remember all of what was in my hand, but I knew I had a tutor, and Marnius put out what is that vampire that creates
oh yeah. Something conqueror.
yeah, pr- charismatic,
Yeah, charismatic conqueror.
and I go, "Why is this in your deck,
Yeah.
man?" And he was like, "This is a good card." I was
No,
like,
it's
"I'm
not.
I'm about to show you why
Yeah.
this is terrible."
I lost a top 4 because of that card, like,
And
hurt.
I was like, "I really can't wait for my turn because I'm going to
Yeah.
show you why this is terrible." And guy couldn't finish what he was doing. He goes to pass. The next player ended up playing the Storm Drake, and I go, "Please take that Conqueror.
Yeah, yeah.
Take the Conqueror and get ready."
I
Because we can wipe these two off of the board.
I would really like that card to be banned in Commander. Like
It It's silly.
It messes games up.
He's like, "But you don't have one." I was like, I have clones.
Yeah.
I will clone the hell out of that card."
Yeah, yeah.
So, Najila had their turn. They did a little bit and got more scary. And then I cast my tutor. I go and get um imposter mech, cast imposter mech, copying prismatic conqueror
And of
or
course, you didn't make
charisma.
it come in tapped, right? Yeah.
And I looked at him and I go, "It won't come in tapped." And he was like, "Well, mine's not coming in tapped." I go, "Do you want to say a billion?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'm cool with a billion."
So how this works, and I think we've probably gone over it before, but if there's two of them, you can look at the other person and go, at what point do we want to tap one? And you can infinitely combo off of each other to where you both get a billion one ones when there's two. Now, when there's three, you can't tap something twice. So the game just gets locked and it's a tie. Like there's no way to stop it because it's will you have this come in tapped? Yes, you tap it. And then the second person goes, all right, well, this was my third charismatic conqueror. Will you have it come in tapped? And you're like, well, it's already tapped. And then they're like, cool, infinite loop, none of us can break it, tie.
Oh,
So, but it's just,
But with two, it's really funny. Like
yeah, because we ended up looking at each other and I was like, on your turn, you just wipe the other two out and then we can duke it out.
yeah.
And
I'll block with a billion one ones when you send a billion one ones my way.
then we'll just start it up again.
Yeah.
But what was funny is the Marnius looked around, he was like, I messed up. So on the end of my turn, he goes, Mystical Tutor? And went and got um, Toxic Deluge and
Yeah.
Deluge the hell out of the
You could
board.
deluge for one and take care of all that.
But I was just like, he couldn't finish his turn though, because it had already gotten to a point of just so messed up, and we ended up drawing. But
Yeah, that card cost me $200 in Covington. So
yeah, I know. It's one of those cards where you look at it and you're like, wow, man, why did you play that?
yeah. Why did they print that? It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, that's true too. But no, it ended up being a draw, which, I won one, lost one, drew one, which
Yeah.
isn't a terrible thing, but there was so many of those that I couldn't get into the final four. If I'd have won that one, I would have been able to.
Yeah. Round is going to be really depressing.
so
So
what was that card again? Because I
charismatic conqueror.
think I might need
Please
that.
don't. Please don't.
Yeah,
That and
charismatic.
some clones.
All you need is that, and then somebody else needs to clone it, and it just goes off.
Just let me know when you put that card in your deck and you register for a tournament, and then I'll drop out. So my round three, I was seated at table one because I had a really good opponent win rate because it was my first 3-man pod. Somehow I had like a 36% opponent win rate, and I think it was because of the 3-man pod. But I was at table one, and I looked at the stats. The guy that was across from me also had 6 points, but he had a higher opponent win rate. So even with a tie, I knew I wasn't going to get in the top four. It had to be a win, which was like a really kind of crummy way to go into the final round and be like, well, I've not lost yet. I'm undefeated. However, if I don't win this round and I'm at table one, I'm not going to top four. Because a tie would be the same as a loss, just because if I tie, he tie, and he goes. But it was him on Blue Farm, TNT, Tim McCrom, and then the new mono green bear, Lamara, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they affectionately they all three of them were from the same group, which was another thing where I was like, oh no, like I'm the odd man out and I need to win. Like this is gonna suck. But they referred to it by the movie title Cocaine Bear because it just literally doesn't care about what's on the board, just goes as fast as possible.
Just wants to
Um,
do its own thing.
yeah, just wants to do its thing, and it was pretty funny because this person pulls out way in ahead. I think they get Lumara, which is like a 6 or 7 cost commander on turn like 2 or 3. I think it was 3. It might have been 2, but I just remember being like, how do you have that much mana already? And like, it was legitimate, but it was one of those like, I guess I just wasn't paying attention. I couldn't stop him anyway because I did not keep a hand that was a counter sheriff hand. I kept a hand that was trying to win. So they start going for it, and I'm looking at the table. I'm like, Blue Farm, you got anything for this? And he's like, no. And I'm like, TNT, you got something for this? I'm on seat like 3, so I really should not be playing sheriff. And they're like, no. And I was just like, okay, well, we might lose here. And I asked to see everybody's graveyards just because I have a necromancy in hand. And I can instant speed cast it, get a creature out. And if there's an ETB that helps us, like, maybe we're fine. So I look at Cocaine Bear's graveyard. They milled an endurance. And I'm just like, oh no. So I'm like, okay, I'm not too worried about them if they start going for a win. I can at least try to bring back their endurance and then send all their stuff away. So we do another round. I could have set up with a Ristic study, and I'm like, no, I know I'm probably the only one that can save us now. So like, let me not do that. We go around the table. Cocaine Bear goes for a win. Um, puts out the elf that lets them sack all of their lands and give something shroud. So they know that they're going to bring their bear back and ETB the bear. They sack all of their lands, tap all their mana, sack all their lands, bring the bear back. ETB the bear brings all of their lands from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped, but they have an amulet, so they all come in untapped.
Oof.
So they do all of that, completely wipe all their lands, bring the bear back, ETB, and they go for their graveyard. I'm like, nah, send that around. And then on the ETB, I necromancy their own endurance. And then we make sure that endurance resolves, or the necromancy resolves. I get their endurance, and they're like, who are you targeting? And I was like, who do you think? And then I send their entire graveyard to the bottom of their deck. Lumara ETBs, 0 lands on the back.
Poor bear.
And he's just like, yeah, I'm out. Like, I'm here at the table, but like when it gets to my turn, I'll probably just lay a land and pass and then do all that. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. So my turn, right? I put out a Grand Abolisher. I set up my I know that I need to get the Ristic study through. Everybody's kind of afraid, and I'm like, no, it's literally like a value Grand Abolisher. Like I know people say that for lols. I blew out to stop him. And then the guy across from me is like, well, let's test this out. Swings his Timna at me, and I'm like, I will block with the Grand Abolisher. And he's just like, we'll do it then. And I block with the Grand Abolisher, and he's just like, oh. And I was like, yeah. And I killed his Timna. And he was just like, I had so much free interaction to stop the TNT player. And I was like, why'd you swing at me? I told you what I was going to do. And we're all kind of like keeping the TNT player at bay. He plays a Grand Abolisher, and again, I show like a Force of Will where I'm like, if you don't pay the 1 for Ristic Study, I'm gonna counter it. And then he was just like, so you want me to pay the 1? I was like, yeah, I don't want to draw. I want you to pay it because like it seems like you're about to win, and it looks like you have just the amount of mana that you need. And he pays it, and I'm like, cool, whatever. Like, I've been playing Sheriff so much this game, I'm not gonna win if I force of will this. Like, you do you. Of course, he's 1 mana short.
That's awesome.
So he ends up passing, gets to my turn. I know that I can't really pull out a win, and I'm just like, I have a Force of Will and a Pact in hand and another blue card. I guess I'll try to. I can't win, so I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna try to get a tie and like maybe through some miracle, like 2 6 points or 2 7 points get through. Um, and I knew it wasn't gonna happen, but TNT goes for it again. They have infinite green mana at this point, can do everything that they want to do. I have a force and a pact, and I don't have enough mana to pay for the pact because I've been behind the entire game. So whenever I force of will, I put the pact with it, not thinking. And he ends up doing something else, and the pact would have stopped him to where we all got a tie. But in my head, I was like, "Well, I can't pay for the pact, so I've never cast it," you know? But I should have kept it as a bargaining chip because time went out on his turn by the time I did the Force of Will, and if I would have had the pact, we would have tied. But even with the loss, the guy across from me went to top four anyway. So even if we would have tied, I still wouldn't have got top four. So it was a little bit of a punt. I was kind of beating myself up, but then whenever I looked at it, I was like, okay, it wouldn't have mattered if we tied. Like it literally it didn't matter. Just take it as a learning opportunity.
Yeah, and you gotta play what you have. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't play with the idea that this next card's going to be the winning card.
Yeah.
You gotta play with what you have and what knowledge you have at the time.
Yeah. I also don't like to spite play. So like it seemed like it was a smart move to just be like, well, I'm never gonna use this pact. Force of will, the blue card exile is a pact, and I was just like, I could have tied. Like if I would have kept the pact, which wouldn't have mattered, but I could have played it smarter. And that was it for me. I did not make the top four cut.
Yeah, my round 3, it was pretty interesting, but again, I was pretty much being a sheriff, Sheriff Whimsy reporting for duty. But in seat 1, you had Rog Thras. Seat 2 was Thras Francisco, and that's the first time I've actually played against that deck. And I got to tell you,
Is that
that
the
thing
one
is
we know?
fast. Yes, that's the
Okay,
one
yeah,
we
yeah.
know. That deck is fast.
Which
Yeah.
one was it?
Uh, Thrashy, yeah, Thrasios
The blowout
and
deck.
Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then, Kennen, the one that you played against, his, dad was there,
Yeah.
and then, of course, I was on, Captain America, and, I mean, the whole table for the most part was dealing with Thrasios Francisco. I think I even, did a pact for one of his win attempts, so I had to take a turn off, and, of course, I took that turn off, and it gets back around to the Kennen player, and he just does a ballista win, and,
Yeah.
and we're all pretty much burnt out of, any of our interactions.
I mean, that's what happens when there's a blowout deck that just is like, I'm going for it. It's like, please stop. Like, it's not getting through.
I mean, I get those decks for the most part. It's just, I think we're not in that type of meta anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, I also think that like there is an element of politics where you're just like, I'm going to show you how many counters I have. We can burn all of my counters, take you out of the game, and then pass to somebody else who knows that they can win. Or you can just decide to scry off Thassa and then maybe you like reanimate her or something like that. I've seen because I had this happen in Cyphicon where I was like, I know you're loaded with counters. I know I'm loaded with counters. I will show you my hand if you promise that if I have more counters or equal counters to what you have, you don't go for it. And they were just like, "Yeah, that's fair." And I was like, "I have 3 counters, and there's 2 other players here that can chip in. Can you eat through that?" And they were like, "Yeah, I think I can." And I was like, "Okay, well, every time we get to a counter on the stack, I'm gonna show you one of my counters and tell you what else I can do. So, like, let's play this responsibly."
Yeah.
But I also think that, there's some of those decks that they're meant to run and gun. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You don't worry about, how many counter spells you gotta go through, especially if you have, plenty of redundancy in the deck.
Well, if you know that you're gonna gun and not get through, maybe instead of gunning, you're like, "Okay, well, instead of gunning this turn, I'll set up a Rhystic Study." Like, that's fair. Like
Yeah. I Obnix is one of those decks that's like,
oh, Obnix doesn't care.
I was like, I
Yeah,
don't care how much you got. Let's
yeah,
just do it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta use them anyway.
It's
So
like I've got 20 cards that I have access to. If you can stop me, great. Like yeah, with that deck, I wouldn't even show them. I'd just be like, "If you're gonna go off, let's go off. Let's do this." Like
Yeah, but that's how that tournament went for me. I ended up with just a tie and lost in the other 2 rounds. But that's also whenever I decided that it's time to let Cap retire and let him go back to casual or high power casual. I'll bring up the next contender.
those decks are weird because like they're probably too strong for the casual tables, But when you have an 80-minute limit on your setup and you're probably only getting like 5 to 6 turns, it's really weird where it's like, "Oh, okay, I see why people don't enter this more," you know? Like
Yeah, there's meta for a reason, I know, and I hate to say that because there's always those contenders that come up and, like, jump into
Hashaton,
yeah, exactly.
hashaton.
Like Hashaton was one, and then, Glarb is actually another one. It's
I
fairly
think
new.
Glarb is meta now. Like,
But he
yeah,
wasn't
he
at one.
wasn't like, when we did that episode of upcoming commanders, like, he was upcoming, and now it's like, "Okay, like, Glarb is scary." Like
I do like that they're trying to put in a commander or 2 in each set that's might be viable.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Hashiton, like, not to talk about it a whole bunch, but I've had a lot of people that play casual that are like, I really like that I have a toolbox commander for like my big like non-green creatures now. So it seems like Hashiton was like almost the perfect design where I feel like he's really good in CDH, and then also people that play casually are like, I can cheat out my big giant zombies now. Like this is really cool. Like
Well, and you gotta think that they did ban, like, probably the best toolbox commander a long time ago.
oh yeah, that go well not Godo,
Golos.
Golos, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that there's people that are screaming for that
Oh
to
no,
be
no.
unbanned.
Yeah. It was Kenrith, but could go get a guy's cradle, I believe, on ETB. Like it was 5 color good stuff. And I remember the reason that they banned it. They were like, it's just boring. Like you just put whatever 5 color cards are good in, you don't even have to think about the commander because the commander, I believe, just tutors a land to field on ETB.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then his activated ability, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So they were just like, because we see this so often and it's so boring, we're banning it.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any of us hit top 4 in this one.
I was close,
I
but yeah.
I was there too. I think that being seat 4 on my last round just kinda made it bad, but
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was seat 3 on my last round, and then I had to win that round with, like, my opponent win percentage, which I couldn't really do anything about. It just felt pretty powerless where I was like, I'm the odd one out of a group, and, like, they played very fair, it's like nobody ganged up on me, but, I mean, it could've just been like, "Oh, okay, well, I don't really know what this guy does, so, like, let's all be afraid of him. He has a new commander, and he did really well." But yeah, it was just kind of defeating. Really, my takeaway from that was the deck performed really well, and I haven't really been playing it too long. And I had been mana screwed in 3 straight tournaments, and they were all 3 round tournaments, but it was 3 straight tournaments where I lost a round because I was mana screwed, and I was like, I'm gonna go up to 30 lands. Like clearly, this deck needs more lands. And then right after the tournament, I put them in, and I was like, okay, I hope this is good.
Well, and of course, that commander Hashton, what you need, what a total of 3 mana to be able to actually go off.
2 colorless and a blue, but it itself is a white black. So you really want to have 5 mana, and in that 5 mana, you want white, black, blue, 2 colorless, and then also like if you need to do a tainted pact on top, or it's really it surprisingly needs a lot of colored mana. Like I took Urza Saga out because I was just like, yeah, that goes and gets jewel not jeweled lotus, lion's eye diamond, but, like, I make bad decisions with lion's eye diamond, so I was like, "I'm taking that out." Like
So, well, speaking of that, so Lion's Eye Diamond, I noticed that there was some builds that used the Diamond Lion,
Mhm.
the creature version of
But
that.
it's really slow. Like, I thought about it, and I had it, and it was pretty much like I would put it out, and everyone would just be like, "Oh, pile up on Hashiton, he's gonna do something crazy next turn," and I was like, "Well, something crazy is me dropping my entire hand, sacrificing a creature, and then probably just getting, like, a Nezahal out, which is just a Mystic Remora I don't have to pay for." So, like
or a Jenga Taxus.
yeah, that's a problem, but I mean, it's so slow that it doesn't really matter if Jin-Gitaxias gets out because I'm probably not getting out till turn 4, and by
Mm.
that point, like, someone's just gonna be like, "Okay, so your, like, pants are all the way down to your ankles, like, let me just swords that," and I'm like, "Yep, I'm out of the game." Like, so I got rid of both of those. You wanna talk about the Hunter Burton Memorial now?
Um, yeah, that was probably one of the biggest tournaments I've been to within like a year or so.
I skipped that one because I wanted to go look at goth girls in Houston, Texas. So,
I mean, fair.
there was a oddities convention, and I wanted to get some stuff for the house, and I looked at it and I was like, I could have a $200 budget for a convention and get like a whole bunch of really cool things like wet specimens and like art and stuff like that, or I could go to this tournament, probably not do very well, and then spend like 8 hours driving there. So I was like, I think for my own sanity, like I'm gonna go to the convention this time. And I really wanted to be at both places. I'm glad that I made the decision to go to the convention, but like the entire time you were there, I was just like, well, I'm like eating hot pot right now, buffet. Like, let me just refresh and see how everybody's doing.
I really enjoyed it. Like, it was a really fun tournament altogether. I'll say that, we go to a lot of places around Texas. So this tournament was like a gathering of all of the all of the different tournaments together.
Well, there were some big hitters too, though. Like comedian was there. I always forget the other guy's name. Freedom Waffle.
It was Freedom
Yeah,
Waffle
yeah,
and Comedian, um, which both got into the top 16.
yeah.
Um, I will say, like, going into it, I had this like gleam in my eye of seeing all of my friends that I played 100 games with.
And this one was 6 rounds on Spice Rack, which was kind of strange too. Like,
It was a lot.
I think there was like what 124. There was a lot of people.
I ended up placing like 30 something. I want to say 35, maybe lower 30s, but I was in the 30s for sure. If I would have won one of the games that I kind of blundered, I would have been up there.
So
Uh,
what were you on?
I
In
I was on Tivit, yeah. I played Tivit through most of all of these tournaments here. I got tired of playing Sisse and jumped to Tivit. Um,
Tivit was like kind of a nostalgic. Like that's what you started. I remember we had a local game store that we would kind of not really like fight, but we would argue that they shouldn't do 5 or 6 man tables in a tournament. And they were like, no, the website says 3 to 5 players like can enjoy it. And then they would take out the magic website for the precons and be like, it says 3 to 5. And it's like, yeah, but we're telling you not to do six. Yeah. And then we both kind of got fed up with it. And you were like, you know what? I'll show them why they shouldn't do that many. And then you built Tivit, and I built a Tolly, and I was like, yeah, let's show 'em." They
and
didn't learn, but we still won a lot. Like,
yeah, I mean, also in the first time I played Tivit, it was pre-bans,
yeah,
so I would lose if I wasn't careful with Tivit because of Dockside.
yeah,
Like Dockside would swing the game too much, and I can't really sack all of my clues,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I would be in one of those predicaments. However, in this one, like I did a lot of small tournaments up to this, and I kind of optimized Tivit to play. Um, Again, I blundered. Well, we'll talk about my blunder for the most part because that's going to be the pivotal point of the tournament for me. Um, I had an abolished turn, and I um, cast a imposter mech, and I just needed to get time sieve, and I would have had the game because Tivit was on the table, and there was a hoarding brood lord on the table,
Yeah.
but I didn't have enough mana. But I didn't realize
You
that
can convoke
that I
it.
could convoke.
Yeah.
And
I was about to say.
as soon as I passed, the dude looked at I go, I could have won
Mm,
here. And
mm,
he's like, you could have, man. I was like,
that hurts my feelings. This is the first
oh,
time I'm hearing that.
I was like, oh, because I had all of the artifacts set up. Like I would have, there was no flyers on the table. I would have, I
Well,
would just beat him down.
Broodlord flies.
But he was tapped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was tapped because he saw it. Saw and half comes in tapped, I think.
No, I don't think so. He must have cast something by convoking it.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
tapped it to do,
yeah,
which is even worse for me because I
yeah,
watched him do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But,
I mean, there's so many different things going on at those tournaments. Like I've punted quite a bit just because like there's so many things you can do with your own cards, let alone like cards that aren't in your deck that you've copied. You know?
um, with that, like, what I was the big thing that I would take away from it is in a big tournament like that, um, not that you should slow play, but you should pass priority
And read.
and
Yeah.
just really watch some of the stuff because a messed up trigger can end up losing it. I mean, we had a really messed up game where a guy forgot to sack his City of Traders.
So we had like an extra soul ring for 2 turns. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a problem. Like
but again, I had played this guy in a couple of, or I've seen him played in a few places. I just also being that seat four, I should have been like, hey guys, before we start this, we should pass priority on everything.
did you guys call a judge or
Um, we did, but it was too far gone,
yeah.
and the judge was like, I mean, y'all missed it.
Yeah, it's part of technically it's part of your responsibility to like check the board state, but I mean also like who would know that a city of traders sacks unless you like had it in a deck before, you know? And then also like did the judge make him sack it then when he came
Yeah,
over? Okay,
it was immediate. Yeah. Um, I think that's a good note too to kind of remember that, you know, in one of those tournaments, I don't think it was proxy friendly. I think you had to have the cards there.
yeah, I don't remember.
I believe so.
I know Cyphicon you had to have all the cards.
Um, I believe you had to have the cards. I didn't really see any proxies in this tournament, so with people playing and wanting to play with such a high prize pool, like you said, some people don't know those cards.
Yeah.
And I mean, who would know? Was it what is that one like $300 or something? It's
Yeah, I
kind of up
mean,
there.
I have it, but I've only ever run it in a Tali, so like
I have one as well, and I mean, I still haven't ran it in a deck yet.
I mean it's probably not terrible for Tibet just to get them out earlier, but I mean you have so many artifacts, you know.
Yeah, no, but it was interesting seeing the top 16 players. Um, they kind of split us, which is kind of funny. There was a big gap in between the people on the lower bracket and the people on the higher bracket,
Yeah.
just because the numbering of the tables or
Yeah.
something like that. But
I was watching it as you were playing because I was like at an all you can eat buffet and I was like, if I sit here for 2 hours and you know, all of a sudden I can put extra meat in my belly. Like but I remember looking at it and I was just like, oh man, like one of the higher tiered like players that's like usually in the top 4, like, they're just not doing well. And I think, like, I ended up looking back while I was driving home, and I was just like, "Oh, they made it to, like, top 16, like, how?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess at the end, they kinda pushed for, like, a win and a tie, and then they just got there." But it was weird because, like, 4 rounds in, they had only had 1 win, and I was like, "Oh, there's no way that, like, you know, with a 3-1 record, they're or 1-3 record, they're gonna get there." And then they just pushed at the end and got a win and a tie, and we're there, like
like I said, it really does. I know I've said this a few times that I place pretty high. I mean, even in 120, like placing in the top 30s
yeah.
is still kind of
I mean, that's bragging, yeah.
it's kind of up there. But I was one win away from top 16,
Yeah.
and that's where it goes.
It's crazy just a little it doesn't seem like a lot, but, like, just a little thing like that, and it's just like, "Oh, that was the difference." Yeah.
Um,
Now, was it because of your percentages, or was it just because of the win-loss
it was win loss.
Yeah.
Like it's that big of a swing since a win is 5 points. I was at like six.
And it was 6 rounds too, so
I was like 6 or 7 points.
yeah.
And if I would have had one more, I'd have been like 12 or 13 or something. And it would have put me up in the top. I would have probably been like 15 or 14 when I
Yeah.
looked at it.
I mean, not that anybody would do this, but with a 6-round tournament, you could get a max of 30 points, so, like, that's a lot, you know?
Well, Also, we like I said, we travel around and play a lot, especially in Texas, and it was cool to see these players that we've lost to
Yeah,
quite often
yeah,
and be like, "Man, they're really good,
and there's people that can combat them. Yeah, yeah,
but they're in the top 16."
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they didn't move from that end of the tournament, so you're
You know, when you think about Commander, it's weird because like there's 4 people at the table, so you should win minimum 1 in 4, so you should win 25%, and then 25% of 6 is like 1.5, so if you have 7.5 is like what you should somewhat have in order to be like break even. So you'd have to be like above that. You'd probably need like 10 points, 11 points to get into top 16 at that percentage. It's really weird because like I'll get to tournaments and I'm just like, all right, now I need to do math. Like what number do I need to hit? 11? Cool. Like,
it was pretty crazy because I knew one of the guys that was watching the last 2 games, and he was like, "I'm just seeing if I'm gonna go, first or second here."
yeah.
And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, my points are this. If this player ties or if he doesn't win it, I'm first and he's in the second."
I think that's really what splits like the people that consistently top between everybody else is like looking at your score and knowing like this is what I need to get to slip into top 16.
And, again, just knowing that, I mean, you probably know what guy I'm talking about. He wins most
Yeah, yeah.
games, but I think his win rate, it has to be up there.
I mean, he usually 50% or
That
more.
that
Yeah.
exactly. And I don't understand how he's so high, but kudos to this dude.
Yeah.
He's a really nice guy and a really good player. It's awesome to see that I've lost to him quite a few times.
Very quiet too,
Y-
which is surprising. Like he how he consistently wins because I thought a lot of the consistency was like in politicking, and he's good at politicking, but he's very quiet. Like he only talks when he needs to, which is like really cool to see.
and just in general, a good dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but no, that was my thing. I bought a few cards while I was there in between rounds, but um, it was a really fun experience. Uh, it's been a little while since I've played, so I don't really remember specifics. I did see like a chain of Mephistopheles in
Oh
one of the
yeah, yeah.
decks, which I was like, Jesus. Which I'm wanting to get one now, but it was just crazy how it goes.
Our third tournament, and we all did this together, was Cyphicon. Cyphicon was cool because it was actually in a actual convention. So in between rounds, we could literally go and watch people do like karaoke and like costume and stuff like that. There were food trucks. Like it was really cool because we're on a third floor completely overlooking, I think it was the ocean. Like I
Mm.
don't know if it was just like a huge lake, but it's Louisiana. So like some of the huge lakes are just ocean that connects to the land. But we're like up there, and as I'm playing, I can like look and I can see like a giant bridge over the person's shoulder and just like water, as far as I can see. So it was really cool.
View was very pretty.
Yeah, we ended up having 36 people, so we just had enough for 4 rounds, which I was really glad because we came as a group of 4. So if we wouldn't have come, it would have been a 3-round tournament, and the prize was a foil graded 9 guy's cradle, so like a $3,000 prize, and I was like, "Oh, I do not wanna be in rounds where every single round I need to win or tie, like, have a positive result to even get a chance at this thing." You know? I was like, "People are gonna be cutthroat because 'cause they'll know that, like, the difference between a win and a tie is getting a guy's cradle." Yeah.
Mm.
So I was really glad to see that it was 4 rounds. Did you wanna start with your round 1?
I, ooh, I was gonna sound bad, but I don't necessarily remember exactly the decks that we're playing.
There's sometimes they get at a table and I'm like, I remember the top contenders, and then the other person, they just didn't get a good hand, so they didn't do much.
I know it was a loss for me It wasn't a draw. It was just a straight up. I believe it was like a Thassa out. Um, what decks I played, I really couldn't tell you, but it wasn't. I don't think it was anything majorly notable. But that one was a loss for me.
My round one got matched with someone we play with all the time. Not wizards, but it was kind of intimidating because I was just like, okay, like I'm at this table. It was a Rog Thras player, and Rog Thras is one of those decks that it just kind of looks like they do random stuff until they win. And I was just like, my threat perception is going to be real off. So it was Elshev the Infinite, seat one, Rog Thras, seat two, Rog Tevish, seat three, and they were kind of like sometimes you can do like a little bit of like op agenting on somebody's deck because I saw him reveal the commanders. I was like, oh, I've never seen this commanders before. He's like, yeah, so this is what my deck does. He was like, yeah, I just take Rog and I use one of the red transforms to turn it into like a really stupid big black or black red creature that just locks the game down. I'm like, oh, cool. Well, I won't let you do that. It's like what I was thinking in my head. And then me on fourth seat, Hashton. Elsha had a really strong start with a bunch of rocks, and then they played the enchantment that scries 10 ancestral knowledge. So they were like really set up for knowing like what their next couple turns were like. Rog Thras also had a really strong start. They had a lot of setup, big board state. They tried to play a Cryptolith right on turn like two or three, and I was like, I cannot let you have that. I'm sorry. Like you have so many creatures out. I know you're about to go get a guy's cradle. Like you can't have 20 mana. Yeah.
It's 20 mana.
And like the moment I countered it, I could just see like this is somebody that we play with, and I could just see like his hope leave his body. And I was like, okay, he's probably somewhat done now. I ended up getting out a 4/4 Notion Thief and a 4/4 Bowman. So Thrasios couldn't do any triggers because if they would reveal something that they had to draw, they would just reveal it and I would draw instead. And then I knew that a bowman with how much I was drawing would like kind of take me out of the game. So I was like, let me make sure I have a 4/4 bowman. Because like I will always win the bowman wars and it's gonna be really hard to get rid of. And then Elsha also had an Esper Sentinel. So I took over duty of their Esper Sentinel triggers where I would just be like, you gonna pay his Esper Sentinel? No? Cool. He's gonna draw? Well, he can't draw, so I'll draw. The board state ended up being like kind of crazy. Rog Tevish used one of the red polymorphs into Valgavoth Terror Eater, which is basically like three Dothy Voidwalkers stapled together. And instead, whenever you discard something, it exiles to him, and he can cast it with life. So it's like it's crazy. I'm kind of looking at the board, and I'm just like, I know I need to stop a win attempt, and if it gets to my turn, I can win because I have just a bunch of stuff on field. So I keep all of my mana open. I move to end step and I discard Jingatax's Core Arger, not realizing it'll be exiled by Valgavoth and castable for life. So I'm just like, oh, that was a punt, you know? Um, so it gets to their turn. No one else can really do anything. They cast a Sire of Insanity, which is everybody discards their hand at the end.
Each turn.
Yeah. And then they cast the entire time. I'm like, Jenga taxes, because I think that they're going to win by casting it. So they pay the 10 life and cast it, and then they go to end step, and I literally look at my board and I completely forgot about the Notion Thief. And then they go to their deck at the end to draw 7, and I'm just like, I'm really sorry. I did not realize I had a Notion Thief. I draw 7. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I draw the 7. He's like, oh my god. And I was like, I'll be honest, this seems like it was a brick brain move. It was not. I'm just stupid. Like I forgot. So they were like, I paid 10 life to draw you 7 cards. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. So anyway, I'm gonna draw my cards. You pass. And then I literally just had a huge grip of cards. I had a Voice of Victory on field already, which I was like, ooh, new card. And I was able to go for Sharoom Tiny Bones win. And I did end up having to sack Notion Thief. So that did put abilities back online from Thrasios. So I was a little worried that they were going to draw into something that maybe was like an Otawar or something, but they were so tapped out on mana that all they could really do is get one Thrasios trigger. They kept a green up to kind of scare me, but I was like, the thing I'm scared most of is Noxious Revival with that green up, but you can't cast anything, so I'm just going to go for it. Ended up doing the Sharoom combo that mills everybody out and makes everybody lose life, and I won. So that was 5 points, and it was really cool because I won against one of my friends. So they got to see me in my tournament mode. But that was it for
With
me.
Hashaton.
Yeah, with Hatched on a new commander.
So I'm on a new commander on Redshift.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ew, Goblin.
he's red.
Goblin
He's
mode.
red
Yeah.
green, 2 mana. He taps, adds mana, and you can only use that mana for activated abilities. Or you can pay 12 and drop all the permanents from your hand.
Goblin Kinnan, basically. Like,
Yeah, yeah, basically.
not as good, but yeah.
So we had Sisay on turn 1. I was on Redshift turn 2. Turn 3 was Crick. The
Here,
mono Keurig. Yeah,
Yeah.
the mono black that lets you cast stuff for paying life.
so crazy.
And then Kinnan.
Ugh.
So Sisay player, he plays land and puts out a fish. Gets to me. I have one of my favorite cards in hand. If I have it in hand, I'm playing it. It doesn't matter what turn it comes up. So I go play a fetch land, get my Taiga, and I play Winds of Change. And that's just shuffle all your cards from your hand into your library and draw that many.
I heard that talked about so many times. Like I'd just be walking through and like hearing people talk about their like match, and they're just like winds of change, and I'm just like, oh, that's Pat. Like, that's Pat.
It's it's pretty funny. I was gonna wait on the break to go
Yeah,
into that,
yeah,
but note this later in the
yeah.
video.
So I get a decent hand back off of that. The Keurig player plays his land, he passes. Kennan plays their land pass. Gets back to Sisay. He pays for fish, and then he plays a rock or something like that, and passes. I get red shift out. Crick, he puts something out. The Sisay, not the Sisay, the Kennan player. He doesn't put a land out. He passes. So it totally hosed the Kennan player.
That's
Mm,
awesome.
But for someone that only had one mana, he had a whole lot of interaction.
yeah, Kennan's never out. Like,
Yeah, because Sisay player went to cast Sisay and Kennan player gets to me. I put out the green card to let you look at the top 3 cards of your library. The werewolf guy.
Okay.
Squarch Recruiter.
yeah, yeah.
Squarch Recruiter. I put him out on the field. I'm setting up. I have all the cards in my hand that I need to combo off and win. So I'm getting set up. Crick player, he gets Crick out and casts something. Kennan player, he draws card, pass a turn.
It always happens. We had a local Discord finals, and I was on Winds of Change and Rock Thrass, and back then it was just like a polymorph deck to go get a like Hullbreaker Horror, and I Winds of Change, and literally the girl player that was in our pod went to turn 5 with one man. They were butt hurt, but like,
Yeah, so it just kind of goes like that. We get to like round 4, turn 4, and I play some rocks, and then I play one of the combo pieces, Staff of Domination. Crick doesn't respond. Kennan player, Mind Break Trap is my third
mm,
spell. Uh, the Sisay player was like happy. He's like, yeah, that's a combo piece. He was like, that's combo. Stop it, stop it, stop it. And then I guttural response to Mind Break Trap.
yeah, yeah,
But uh, you know,
as you do.
yeah, I mean, Blue's not the only one with counter spells.
Yeah, there's 3 counter spells in Groll, so you save them.
Again, notate this later.
Yeah,
During the break,
yeah.
funny interaction.
So then, it takes me off because I'll set to win, but was tapped out at that, so I had to wait a turn to get back around. Trick player, he goes to go off. He casts one of his combo pieces, and the Kennen player suicides himself. He casts Pact.
Mm.
So he's like he packs it. It gets to him. He's like can't pay for it.
Mm,
Uh,
that sucks.
yeah, they say he's trying to get set up, trying to get pieces out. It has one with the lotus petal is the only thing that he has left mana wise. It gets back to me. I'm like, I'm just gonna go for it. I have two cards in hand. I'm like, I'm going for it. I go to Giant Growth, Redshift, and then he shows Banishing Back,
Yeah.
and he was like, okay, so this is what I'm going to propose. He goes, I'm going to propose a tie. At that time, the Kennen player he smiles, he's happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, tie. I'm like, do I want to force this? And the Crick player, he was looking, he was kind of like grinning a little bit. He was going to have it on his.
Yeah. Crick is never down and out, which is surprising.
Yeah,
Like,
so we actually ended up going to a tie, but it was like, I mean, I just had so much fun, and I think we were actually the first table that was done with the tournament. That's how quick it was.
yeah, we pretty much went to time. I mean, it's Esper. Esper usually goes close to time, but
So, um, kind of funny listening to you and hearing and remembering. I remember my round one now because the guy that I talk to later was in my round one, but it was initially what is that red blue one that like taps and does a
oh,
copy of it?
Stellally.
Stella. It
Yeah.
was Stella Lee, Blue Farm, and Green Timna Thrasios,
Yeah.
It
and I
was
was
the
on
Blue
Tivit.
Farm player that
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yep,
yep.
yep. And
And we had played him.
I played him a lot.
Like, yeah, we played last tournament. We did played him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's usually at one of the locals we go to, but nothing really big on that round. It was kind of like pistols out until Green Farm kind of went for it. And we couldn't stop them, but uh, noting that you were saying that.
Yeah.
It's funny you said that because later on we'll talk
Yeah.
about this same Blue Farm player.
How was your round two?
Round two. I really liked my round two. I'm not gonna lie. So
Same.
so I was seat one. There was Yuriko seat two, Timna Thras seat three, and then what is that red blue? It was a Jeskai monk. I can't think of them.
Elsha the Infinite.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. And we were at a drag out for the most part, and I cast a Grand Abolisher like turn two. I'm like,
Value.
I was
Grand
like,
Abolisher. Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it out there. That's the only thing I really got right now.
Just trying to evolve your Polywalk Prodigy, right?
No, I didn't have Polywalk. But it was funny because they were like, I don't like that being on the field. I was like, counter it, man. Like,
Yeah.
please. And anyway, it sits on the board for like 3 turns. And in that time, I've built up so much draw that my last turn, I had a Grand Abolisher on the field and 20 cards in hand.
Yeah.
The Jeskai player looked at me and was like, we've got to do something about this before his turn. I couldn't show him.
Yeah. I try.
But I had 3 counters and a voice of victory in hand, and my newfound hotness, telepathy. So I
Voice of
went
Victory is so good. Like,
I went into my turn and I was like, telepathy.
and it's one blue for an enchantment where all of your opponents reveal their hands.
Opponents, so I
Yeah.
don't have to. But from there, I just pretty much they bounced my Grand Abolisher with Boseiju that I already seen in their hand, I was like,
You mean Odawara? Oseju
oh
just
yeah, it
yeah.
was Otawara. I'm sorry. And because he had been talking about it, I knew he had it, but he had been talking about that play, but they didn't know when to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, it doesn't matter when you do it,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
because I'm gonna play this. I'll just switch it to the other one.
I mean, if you have a stack that's counterable, them sending it away and then everybody being like, "Okay, now we can all interact with the stack," because you couldn't flash it back in.
The problem was though, is that I telepathy
Oh, yeah.
initially,
Yeah.
so I knew what was in their hand.
Yeah.
I did mistake one of the cards in their hand for a mind break trap, but it was a mana drain. It was
Oh,
the
yeah,
one,
yeah.
the art
With the
that's really
hand,
similar.
yeah.
But yeah, I had every answer known to man in my hand, and I was like, guys, look, I'll just show you my hand here.
Yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
got it.
I'm gonna grab time sieve, and then I'm just gonna swing out at each of you. There's 15 minutes on the clock. I'll kill all of you this
Yeah.
way. And they were like, "You got it." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Awesome."
My round 2, very hard fought. It was very scary. So it was Kinnan in seat 1, which is already scary. Me in seat 2, Krark Shakashima in seat 3, and a Traxon in seat 4. So it's like, all right, Kinnan's gonna blow out. Krark Sakashima and Atraxa will win mid to late game. Like, no question. At what point do I try to win here with this makeup? So Kinnan had a really strong start. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to blow out Thassa combo as early as I can. I need an out. That's gonna be my out. I got an early Razaketh and I had a pact in hand. So I was like, I can try to blow out. I have a pact in hand. Maybe I'll get it. Um, Kinnan used Force of Will on Thassa, and I had been planning to sack Thassa's body with Razaketh to get more interaction. So he literally, like, exactly when he needed to, interacted. So I was just like, well, I'm gonna Pact of Negation that. Um, and then he packs of negations mine. And I'm looking and I'm just like, okay, well, I only have 4 mana. I die. So I have Demonic Consultation and I'm just like, I have a colorless up. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to Demonic Consultation for a Soul Ring. I'll have just enough to pay the pact. So I'm not out. And I Demonic Consultation, go get Soul Ring. I did not exile Tainted Pact, and I exiled Reanimate, Necromancy, and I know I have Animate Dead still, and I still have my Razaketh, just no bodies on the field. So I'm just like, okay, I cannot die. Um, Kinnan, what I don't know, has a mini Cyclonic Rift that he can do, and he wants to just kill me because he's like looking at the table and he's just like, I need to kill Hashton. Why? I don't know. This person I did go against in Covington, where they played loot when it was new, and we just tore him up on loot. So like maybe he was just like, I played this guy before. Like we need to kill him.
Do it
um,
while he's on something new.
yeah, yeah. So Ken and I pay the pact. We basically don't have a turn. Um, Sakashima Krark gets really close to win. They have Krark on field. They cast Sakashima. Luckily, the Atraxa player, when we started the game, I was like, the way that you dismantle Krark Sakashima is whenever they cast Sakashima, you kill Krark so that they can't get a second one. And he took that to heart and kept a Path of Exile, or no, Swords, and does exactly that. So I was like, okay, cool. Like giving everybody information before the match, really, really good to do. Um, they still get really close. They get the wizard that doubles wizard triggers, and they also get like a Phyrexian Metamorph. So they have 3 Krarks, and
Jesus.
it's like they don't have enough mana to do anything, and unfortunately they have to pass. And I'm just like, thank God, because like I thought we were losing there. Um, Atraxa passes. They're very late game. They're doing some setup, but it's pretty clear if they get another turn, they're gonna win. But they pretty much just continue their setup and pass. Kitten tries basalt combo and like barely is stopped by the table. I don't even think I had like a counter spell to like throw in. I was just like, let's see. Oh, Atraxa stopped him with the white bird that you can flash it in and it
Haven,
plots. Yeah.
Haven Mindsets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he plotted,
Even
Interrupter.
in
yeah.
Sorry.
an interrupt.
He plotted his basalt and he didn't have the mana to bring it back out. So he had to pass. And then I'm just like looking at it and I'm just like, I can tutor and animate dead, bring my Thassa back, and I have a tainted pact and I can go get a counter. And like it was funny because like um whenever I tried my early Thassa combo, the judge kind of got wind that I was winning, so they came over to watch. And I like lost, didn't get there, but I'm just like, all right, let's try this again. Animate dead, and then the guy that with that has Aven interrupters like you got to pay 2 more. I was like, no, 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 not casting it from the graveyard. I'm putting it onto the battlefield, and they're like, ah, dang, you got it. And I was like, I'm gonna try, and then get the ETB Chained Pact. I can sack Thassa's body to Razaketh if I need it. Luckily, don't need it. Everybody blew out on everybody else, and I get the win. And it's funny because I walk up to the judge that came by, and I was like, "Yeah, I ended up getting that one." They're like, "You did?" They were like, "I saw you blow out Thassa and have to pay for a pack," and I was like, "Yeah, I just was able to reanimate it and went for the other half of the combo." And they were like, "Good, good, good job." They were like, "I thought you were done," but I ended up with 10 points at the end of round two, which really, really strong. I know 10 points. We're doing a top 10 cut, which means one and two just gets a full pass to the finals, and then the other eight, each of those pods end up battling it out for
Seats three
like
and four.
seats 3 and 4. With 10 points, I'm like, I'm probably going into the top 10. Definitely, I want to get as many points as possible, but being 10 points in round two, I was like, ooh, that guy's cradle. I'm feeling it. How about yours?
Prizes insight.
Yeah, yeah.
So my round two, I was saying, if you can't win, be memorable. And so round two, I'm in seat four. In seat one, there's Brassios, Timna. Then you have Blue Farm in seat two, Tyam in seat three. Of course, Redshift in seat four. Now, I've never played against a Tyam deck, so
Every round, like whenever I'm looking at all of the commanders, I'm like, this is all scary tables. Like everybody brought their A game.
yeah. So I don't know what to really expect out of. I know everybody does something on turn one. Gets to me. I kept a hand. It had one mountain in it. Bunch of other cards and my favorite little card. I had Winds of Change.
So you're 2 for 2 with Rins of Change turn one now.
Yeah. So I Winds of Change. Well, I did not get a land whenever I shuffled up. Everybody else got some good stuff. And I did not actually see another land until I think it was my last turn
Mhm.
of the game. So this was pretty much around when time ran out.
Yeah.
Uh, and I gambled for my land, you know. But
Was it a red entomb?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. No, I actually got it and was able to play it, but uh, I ended up winds of changing like twice because the tie-in player he gives me the winds of change back because he's like, "Man, I really need you in this game to help me out because he's not running any blue, so
Yeah.
and he knows that I have some kind of interaction." Yeah,
Yeah. In Gruul. Yeah.
I do winds of change, but we do agree that he's not going to use Orcish Bowmaster that he has out to kill the Oppo that somebody else has. They're like, don't. They're like, you're just giving him the game. I'm like, I'm just trying to get into the game.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I don't care who gets the game if I'm obviously losing.
yeah, I'm like, I want to be
Th-
productive in the
yeah.
game.
This is my chance. Yeah.
This is what I need to do to try to get it. And like I said, I did not get a land in that one either.
Mhm.
I did get Bolt in hand. I did cast Bolt on killed something, and then of course the Italian player he gives me a card back. He's like, "Whatever card you want back." So I get the bolt back. Well, it's going. There's I think maybe a minute or so left on the clock, and the blue farm player he goes for the. He's at 3 life. He puts out Thoracle. Puts out Thoracle, and he casts demonic consultation.
I have the best removal, player removal.
Yeah, so I'm like, the Italian player, he passes priority. I'm like, okay, bolt you. I was like, so he goes to swords his Chrome, and somebody removes the Chrome. I think it was the Italian player. He removes the Chrome, so he dies to bolt.
That's awesome.
Then it gets to the Italian player's turn, and well, Orcish Bowmat, not Orcish Bowmaster, Oppo agent's not
On
on the field anymore because the blue farm player had him on the field. So
And he's dead now. So
yeah, he's dead. He's gone, and we're going through it. Time runs out, and time player he's working for his winning. I'm like, the time, yes,
Mm.
yes, another time. But the time player actually flips into the exact card that he needed to, and he goes off, proceeds to go off, and he walks through it. But yeah, that round was crazy. I was like, how in the world did I last an entire time round
With one
with
land.
one
Yeah.
land and still have plenty of interaction? I think I also countered somebody's spell
you
too.
did.
Yeah. I think if you would have put the bolt, showed the bolts and be like, I can kill blue farm right here if we all agree to a tie. I think you might have been able to at least try to tie. I mean, blue farm probably would have been like, no, because I could swords my own. But if you would like put it on the stack, I think you probably could have tried to politic a tie there.
I was just thinking about trying to like play the cards
Yeah.
and get back. And everyone knew I had the bolt because I'd used it before, and the Italian player gave it back, and I was like, announced, I'm getting the bolt.
Yeah.
And the blue farm was at 3 life at that time. So
Yeah.
he knew I had bolt.
I mean, he probably was just like, well, I can sword something and I'll be fine. And then was like, oh no.
Nope. I talked to this guy during our lunch break.
So we had a lunch break after round 2. So
So you had already Crypt had already went to lunch,
mm,
and I believe Whimsy wasn't there yet.
yeah,
So
I went real quick. So I had a full hour lunch and
so
I needed it. Like,
I went down to get something to eat real quick, and see you kind of sitting on the stairs waiting on your food. And I put my order in, and I'm waiting. And then you're like, I'm going to go back up. So I'm just kind of standing there, and I see the Blue Farm player walk up.
oh yeah.
And I gave him the thumbs up or the thumbs down, and he was just like, I just got griefed. I was like, griefed? He's like, do you know the Redshift player? I was like, yeah, he came with us.
Yeah. He's our buddy.
He was like, this guy is playing red green and countered me like 3 times.
Yeah.
Nobody else had counters. He countered me. And then he wins of change the first round or the first round, first turn. And like, we're just going through it, and I'm talking to him. And then I see Pat walk up, and I'm just like, I've heard all about you, man.
Yeah.
And the Blue Farm player walks up, and he was like, I don't know how you had that much interaction in red green.
Yeah.
I was like,
There's 3 of them that are worth playing.
it was just one of the funniest things I'd seen.
It was also funny because like I'm sitting there because I'm waiting. It like takes a long time to like get my food, and when I get up, I just hear, and I'm like, oh no, did I rip my pants? And I check them, and I didn't. But what I didn't realize, and you guys didn't tell me, is I had a big white stain on my butt the entire
Oh no.
time. Yeah, like so, like the paint from the sidewalk lifted up onto my butt, and like not trying to give away anything, but I didn't get home till midnight, and I go in and I'm like telling my girlfriend about like the match and everything like that. And I turn around to like get my like sleep stuff, and she's just like, "Did you sit and paint?" And I'm like, "What?" And I like take off like my shorts and I look at them and I'm like, "Oh, it looked like I like sat in bird poop." And I was like, I was walking around the entire time and I was like, I'm kind of glad that nobody told me because like I would have been self-conscious and it would have like distracted me. But I was just like, I've been walking around with like a big white butt this entire tournament.
That's all. I didn't even notice,
And
man.
like it's funny because as I was walking back, because I was like, I know that the time's coming up, so I was like, "Let me just get there." I have a, like, foot injury, so it's gonna take me a long time, and I'm just walking, and I hear winds of change 3 or 4 times from different groups while I'm walking, all the way back to, like, the 3rd floor. So I would definitely say you're memorable.
Yeah, for sure. For like, he described you to the T. And he was like, "You know that guy that was this playing Red Shift?" I was like, "Yep, I
Yeah,
know."
yeah, that's our friend. Yeah.
And
I
I
love
love the
that.
off meta decks. That's probably the
Same, yeah.
biggest thing for me is that if it's off meta, I'm going to probably like it. And if I can do something that's not in blue, but I can do blue things, oh, I'm really going to like it.
Yeah. I play for fun. Fun is more important than winning, but I do have fun winning. So, like, I try to get a fair trade of, like, this deck is really fun, but also, like, I win with it sometimes, and, like, that's why I go for it, and it's really hard. Like, Atali was kinda there pre-ban, but then Atali got banned, and I was or, like, not Atali got banned, but, like, so many key parts of Atali got banned where I was like, "Let me find a commander that kinda replaces this fun," and I think Hashiton has, like, kinda done it, but, uh, Atali was, like, one of my favorites because last year in Houston, I won an entire $600 tournament with him, so I was just like I was really sad whenever we got all of those bans.
Oh yeah.
So my round 3 after the, diabolical Red Shift player,
Also, Nadu Sweet Prince, miss you.
we I was seat I wanna say I was seat 2, and it was what is the blue red planeswalker? He's new. He flips.
Oh, he's mono red on
On
creature on one.
yeah.
It's a
Ral,
raw, yeah,
Ral.
raw something.
But it was Ral there, um, Tivit, which was me, Blue Farm, and Timna Timna Thras, Green Farm. And um this was the only time I had to call a judge because I was curious on the interaction between Esper Sentinel and uh what Imposter Mech,
Oh yeah,
which
they would have to pay 0 because there's no power and toughness.
that's not what they told me. Granted, I'm gonna follow up with another judge, but in previous tournaments, what you said is exactly what I thought it
Yeah,
was.
because you have to pay power and toughness, and there's no power and toughness. I mean, maybe it just fizzles, but
Well, no, you would pay 0. You would say, "Well, I choose to pay it."
yeah.
But they ruled the other way, stating that the artifact did have a power and toughness. Which, anyway,
No, it doesn't. Not till it's crude.
uh, I didn't want to feel bad because I had a feeling that it was that way.
Yeah.
And if you guys that are listening to it know it for sure in the comments, please let us know. But I went with Archivist of Ogma instead,
Yeah.
which is I thought would be better. It was not.
Yeah.
The Esper Sentinel was holding its own in that tournament or in that round.
I mean, my opponent's Esper Sentinel was cleaning up. I was drawing in round 1, but I got, like, 5 draws off of it.
It was something. Like, what ended up happening is Blue Farm put out it already had an Esper Sentinel, but put out a Rhystic Study, and the Green Farm put out a Rhystic Study and copied the Esper Sentinel. and then the red planeswalker guy just started casting spells.
Yeah, yeah, that's the storm deck. It's
I was
go off.
like,
Yeah,
man, please, you're not gonna have this stuff.
yeah,
Like you're trying. Look at their hands, for the love of God.
yeah.
So they get to me, and I've just been trying to catch up the whole time. And I play like a smothering tithe. I was like, I'm gonna play something, and we passed to Blue Farm, and Blue Farm is like, voice of victory, and then just peered into the abyss himself and won.
Oh, I think that's the same one because I remember he drew that and had to reveal it. And I was like, "You run that?" Like,
He was a really good player,
yeah, he was good.
really kind of kind dude too. He wasn't like pompous or anything,
Yeah,
but yeah, just the fact that the other guy was a storm deck and he drew him like 6 cards.
yeah,
I was like, we can't do that to Blue Farm. Like, there's no way I'm gonna keep up with him.
yeah.
But that was my round 3.
My round 3 was table 1, current champion meetup. So Magda, me, Tyam, and Rock Thrasios. Magda, me, and Tyam have 10 points, so we're all undefeated. And then Rock Thras is at 6 and has the highest opponent win rate. So it's a scary table. And Magda in seat 1 is always scary, you know.
Yeah,
Um, so I put out a early Mystic Remora and then an early Ghostly Pilferer. I kind of punted a little bit because I put out Mystic Remora turn 1. I did get 3 draws, and then I was so excited about the draws that I untapped and immediately went to my deck and drew. And the moment I looked at the card, I was like, "Ah, I just punted. Like I didn't pay my Mystic Remora. There's no way to go back." Like I was like, "Yep, I didn't pay it," and I put it into the graveyard, and I'm like a little upset at myself. But I look at my hand, and I'm like, I have a Ghostly Pilfer, and there's no commanders on board. Like maybe this is better anyway because it gets my discard out. Um, so I put down a pretty good amount of rocks. And then Tyam plays Stony Silence to stop both Magda and I. I have 2 rocks on field turn 2 or 3, and then Magda just, all of their treasures are gone. And I'm like not too happy about it, but I'm just like, it's a necessary evil. Okay, like if I'm put back a little bit and everybody else is put back, I'm not as upset. But Rogthras doesn't really need rocks, so I'm like, this Rogthras is now in the lead. Um, Rogthras just keeps passing with 2 lands. They're just completely screwed. Can't set up. They pretty much don't do anything the entire game, and it's really unfortunate because it's like current champions meet up. The game is pretty locked down. Tyam has an op agent and Stony Silence out, and with Tyam, they can pay 3, remove 3 counters, and get something 3 or less back from their graveyard. So if we remove any of the stuff without exiling it, they just keep getting op agent back or their Stony Silence back. So like there's not a lot we can do because even removing it, it's like, okay, if he has 3 mana, it's just back right away and instant speed and ability. Um, it's really slow. I'm just like, I'm gonna start making as many 4/4s as possible. I put out a Razketh knowing that there's an op agent out, and I'm like, it's a 4/4 trample flyer. Like good luck. Um, we have about 20 minutes remaining. Magda is like, okay, well, I can remove the op agent and I can go get a mycosynth lattice that turns everything into artifacts. And with that and Sully Silence, we can't use our lands anymore. So he's like, I'd like to propose a tie. And I'm like, no, I've got like 20 damage on board. Most of it's flying. Like, I'm not tying. And everybody's just like, that's real true. So he's just like, okay, well, when I untap, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get Portal to Phyrexia, top decks it before he can even tutor. So it's in his hand and he can't tutor it, and he's just like, this is not going my way. And then it gets to my turn, and the board is just so locked down that I look at it and I'm like, I could beat you guys to death eventually, but we only have 14 minutes left, and like there's no way I'm in the position to win However, I know I'm not gonna get 3 or 4 more turns to, like, beat everybody down. So I was just like, I'm cool tying, at this point, and if we're not cool tying, I'm just gonna take, like, a really nasty turn." And everybody's like, "No, no, 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 like, we can tie." And I'm, like, looking at my hand, I'm like, "There's no possible way I can win." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll agree to tie." So we all agree to tie. All of us have 11 points, and that means round 4, we're probably all gonna get scattered to the wind so that we don't end up going against each other again.
which is good.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't wanna have round 4 the same.
My round 3, I was in seat 1. We had Stella Lee in seat 2, Thrasios Tavesh. I think y'all know that player too.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. You had a 4-hour game with
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Garrett, he's a Naya commander. I think he's new.
Oh, the one that taps and makes tokens? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So he was in seat 4. I did not have Winds of Change.
Yeah.
Noted.
I was like,
Should
I'm
mulligan
going
down to 4. Yeah.
first, going first, and I don't have Winds of Change. Had one colored mana. None of the other mana was colored. Go ahead and play my colored mana. Fetch, shuffle up. Stella Lee plays. Everyone's just trying to set up. I see the Stella Lee player cast Stella Lee.
That's a bad sign, yeah.
We gotta do something because that means his next turn he's gonna go for it.
Yeah,
And I did get a forest, and I had a orcish lumberjack out. Then I drew into it's basically a winds of change, but it costs 3 mana, 1 and 2 red. Molten. It's not molten echoes, but it's something. It's a shuffle up and draw that many.
Mm.
And if you have metalcraft, it deals damage. It's a great little card. Just hate the double red pip on it. So I do that, and the Stella Lee player, he's pissed because he had to shuffle his win away. Yeah. So that was that. You know, again, here I am starting to police, and it's just crazy. Uh, the Thrash Tavesh player, he's trying to get set up. The Stella Lee player, he ends up stealing the player force commander. He does the Drake and steals volatile Drake.
Yeah,
It's the new
Storm
one.
Drake.
It's the new one that you pay energy to keep. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. And then Stella Lee pushes for the win. Does you know on this third spell, it's playing the red spell that puts in the token.
I can't remember. It's obscure combos with Stellally.
yeah.
Yeah, it puts in a token uh, enchantment.
Oh, Molten Psyche is what
Yeah,
we're talking about.
Molten Psyche
Yeah,
is the spell that I played to shuffle up. Well, Stella Lee goes cast that spell, does not hold priority, lets it resolve, and we all go through. And Thrasios Savash is like, yeah, it resolves. You know, player 4, yeah, it resolves. Me, it resolves. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to tap Stella Lee.
nah,
Like,
no, you're
no,
not. Yeah,
no, you don't have priority anymore. So we talk about it for a minute, and it's like, let's go ahead and get a judge over here. Don't take our word for it. Like, he was willing to take our word for it. But I was like, don't take our word for it. Let's go ahead and get a judge over here. Let him see, and that way that you can hear it and actually know for sure. Kind of ended up getting the feeling that he didn't really know the deck all that well.
they were pretty new. They were at my round 4, and they asked me a question because we both were like, we both need to counter war, and they had a force negation and an Otawara. They were like, "Can I exile this Otawara for force negation?" I was like, "Unfortunately, no." Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because the Stella Lee player ended up winning, and They went to win. They were milling us out. They were just doing lion's eye, loot to mill us out, brain freeze.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then he stops because I'm making him walk through it. I'm like, okay, this guy's messed up on the first combo. You're gonna have to walk
Yeah.
through this
Yep. This is
combo.
for a guy's cradle.
Yeah,
You need to do it. Yeah.
you're walking through the combo, and I didn't even really realize it at first that what I was doing. And Thresh, the best player, told me afterwards. He goes, "You almost won." I was like, "What?" He goes, "I bet he would have passed the turn after he milled us out to let us draw, and he was under extra turn spell, the two red and you
He
lose
is
Oh,
terrain."
Final Fortune.
Yeah,
Yeah.
final. He was under a final fortune, but he was looking, and he goes, he stops, and he looks, he goes, "You're running a shuffle Eldrazi, aren't you?"
Hmm.
I was like, "God, I wish it
Yeah.
was, but no, no." But I didn't tell him. So then he switches back, and he goes back to the original combo,
Mm.
and ends up winning. But
I mean, he should
I
have a wheel or a windfall in there to make everybody draw at the end.
I don't think he would have thought about it. I honestly don't.
Yeah.
With the misplays. I mean, if it wasn't for me, like pushing, like no, you're going to walk it all the way through. I think he might have been a player that usually whenever play the combo piece, everyone like, okay, you win,
Yeah.
scoops up.
That always hurts because it's like when you make people play it out, clearly you have something, and then they'll start thinking like, "Oh, what could you have that would stop me?"
I just wanted another turn.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a fun round. And just seeing how everyone interacted. Like I had not seen the Naya commander or especially at a higher power, and he had win in hand.
It's scary,
Yeah,
like
That's yeah.
yeah. If
'cause
if he
it
would
just
have got
makes
his
a
commander back, he would have won.
it just makes taps and makes a token of any creature that's on their side, right?
It's a token that enters,
Oh,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
any token that enters it makes copies of.
Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting.
That was my
So going into round 4, I lost pretty heavy on the blue farm, and wasn't really stoked about the next one because I sit down at the table and I'm looking around, and it's another green farm and a Rog Thrass, and I'm like,
I
"Ugh."
mean, everybody brought their A game. Like it was for a guy's cradle, so I think everybody was just like, I'm not playing around. I'm building my best deck." Like,
And then there was a Rog Tevish.
yeah, the same one I went against in round
It
one.
was just weird. Like it
Yeah,
was a weird deck.
he
But
almost won. Like,
yeah, he was like, "You don't know what this deck does, huh?" And I was like, not really."
but you can tell me.
But I'm pretty sure, you know, this is your buddy here, and he's laughing at you. So I imagine he knows what it does. And
Oh, is that Elsha that was there? Oh no,
no,
somebody else.
It was the Rog Thrass.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, but the guy that was sitting, so I was seat 1. Seat 2 was Timnathras, and then seat 3 was uh Tevish Rogsai. I'm sorry, Tevish Rog. And then the 4th seat was Rog Thrasios. And like the guy that was playing uh TNT, he had all of the cards, like foiled out, just pretty cards. He even played a Gaia's Cradle that was
Yeah,
foiled out.
and this was a no proxy tournament
Yeah.
too.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
I was looking at it, I was like, "Oh my god." But we were all playing and pretty much setting up, and I got to a point where I was like, there's no way, like I've got win in hand, but there's no way I can cast it here because I know that they have counters. And like on my draw, I pulled telepathy and I was like, let's see.
yeah,
So I put it out, and it's like the Rog Thrass had 2 counters in hand. And I was like, my only chance here is to have one of the other two start a combo and he has to use them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not gonna make it. And one of our buddies walked by and he was like, "You had win in hand. You had, you
Well,
know,
after the match.
yeah,
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 yeah.
after for sure."
I would have uppercut him.
But it was one of those things where there was a Karn on the field, so
Yeah,
all of my treasures and stuff were blocked out. I only had like 3 lands.
yeah,
So I couldn't have blocked what I was gonna do.
yeah.
But, um, it goes around, and pretty much I'm 1 win away from being in the the final, not final table, but like,
Semifinal, top
yeah,
10. Yeah,
semifinal, and which everybody at this table was.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
If you stayed for round 4, you have a chance. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
and we get to a point where I'm looking at the time and I'm looking at what's going on, and I'm like, "This is my last turn." Like, we could draw here. I have attained. Oh, and that was a consultation,
yeah.
and I had used, I can't think of the name now. It's not Drown the Lock, it's the other black,
Oh, the tutor.
well, top 5
Yeah,
look through. I can't think of the name at the moment.
Limnall's Vault or
yeah,
Vault.
something?
Yeah, I vaulted. So, I end up passing my turn because there's just no way. If I The best I have right at this moment is a draw, and I know that the Timna TNT player is gonna try to go. So, I pass, and the TNT player goes to start his stuff. And again, we're under telepathy, so I'm looking at everybody's stuff. Well, he um tries to do something, and he had a counter or two in his hand, but I ended up talking to the Rog Thras player, and he kind of countered those counters for me. And I was like, I can stop him and we can tie. And he's like, well, why would you want to do that? Like, this is my last. I
yeah,
was like, I could have said the same thing and I put out my hand and had Thassa combo,
yeah,
but y'all weren't going to let me do that. So
um,
we
um,
ended up tying, but
yeah. I mean, I've heard that argument at quite a few things where it's like, well, a tie doesn't do you any good. It's like, yeah, but like, if you can't naturally win, I don't want you to knock somebody else out that earned it. I'm not just going to look at you and be like, no, you got it. Because when I do that, somebody that actually fought hard and earned it and should go to top 10 isn't going to. So, like, earn it, tie. Yeah.
yeah, which the tie did matter for the Rog Thras player
Yeah.
because they went into top 10.
Yeah.
Which, it is what it is. They played better
Yeah.
than we did, but
My round 4. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm pretty much guaranteed in the top 10 with 11 points. So I'm like, I'd really like to win this, get seeded into the finals, but I am kind of just like done, like mentally. Like it's been a long day. But I'm pretty positive, and it's Blue Farm in seat 1, me on Hashaton seat 2, Stella Lee from your last round, and then Brea Eternium Shaper, which I'm just like, it's discount Blue Farm basically, and I'm like, this is weird. So I jokingly go into the game and I'm like, hey, do you guys want to tie? And they're like, no, and I'm like, fair enough. And then they're like, you're undefeated, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm undefeated right now. Like I have 2 wins and a tie, and they're just like, yeah, let's play. um, Blue Farm goes down really low on their mulligans, and on turn 1 gambles for a Lotho and discards it because they have three cards in hand when they gamble, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm done." They set up a couple of rocks, and then they have like no cards in hand. Um, we all set up. Goes back to Blue Farm. They top deck a Wheel of Fortune, and I only have 2 cards in hand, and he's like, "I gotta cast it to get back in," and I'm just like, "You do you. I love this." So it resolves. I don't get a very good hand, but I can cast Ghostly Pilfer, and I also have a Windfall that I can play. So I play it, and we all wheel again. And I'm just like, man, blue farm getting a pretty big graveyard is bad, but like I'm pretty strong with a big graveyard too. So we wheel again. Then Stella Lee starts to like giggle and they play a windfall as well. And then Brea's just like, if we've all done it, I might as well, and plays a fourth windfall.
My god.
So we wheel every single thing, and our decks and our graveyards and our libraries very similar looking. Um, I tutor up a mnemonic betrayal at this point because why not? And then I drop a Lotho because I'm like, I need to leave mana up. Lotho will let me do it. Stella Lee just starts going off. They were lucky enough to not wheel away their combo and they have it in hand. And they have like 2 or 3 counters. And I like show them, I'm like, hey, we can counter war, but I have a lot of counters in hand. And if me and you blow each other out, we're just gonna lose to either Brea, because Brea has a Wishclaw Talisman out, and then Blue Farm is like clearly set up. They didn't mill anything that they would need. So they're like, okay, how about this? We go through and we agree that we keep one counter at least. So I can at least try and I won't use my last counter. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we go through the counter war. Um, they don't win. They show that their last counter is days. And I'm like, well, I can pay for it. So they're like, okay, let's stop. Blue Farm has all of their mana up on their turn, passes to me. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like they didn't wheel into anything nice. I put a mnemonic betrayal on the stack and then just counters everywhere. I sandbag a mind break trap and I play the mind break trap, exiling everything off the stack except my mnemonic betrayal. And then Blue Farm then plays a Born Upon the Wind with a storm count of 8 and then brain freezes themselves. And they're like, if I can mill my combo with 8 brain freeze, I can go for it. And I'm just like, well, yeah,
Or you lose.
yeah. So they hit their entire combo and they mill Savines and pay 5 to flashback it. But completely tapping out, no more mana. Stella Lee shows a daze, and actually puts it on the stack. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, the devil and on my shoulders, just like, just let him do it. Cause he was talking about, I have a daze, let's tie, but then put it on the stack targeting Blue Farm because he thought we will all get 0 points. So I'll just play a daze. And I was just like, but I'll get 5 points. And I don't say it. And the table starts talking, and he already started to pass to Brea. And I was just like, stop. I can't let you do this. And I was just like, so what you do is you put the days and show it. Don't put it on the stack. And tell Blue Farm that you can stop them right now. And then we'll resolve back down to my mnemonic betrayal, and I'm gonna win off of it. Like it's unquestionable. There's a lion's eye diamond in every graveyard except my own. And he's just like, oh, okay. And I was just like, I really should have just let you pass with this, but like I can't do that, And he was just like, oh, okay, so we all tie, and I was like, yeah, let's all tie. Like if you don't cast that, Blue Farm wins, so I agree to a tie. If you counter Blue Farm will if you counter me, Blue Farm will win. So everybody will agree to a tie. The only person that might not is Brea, but they're last in rotation, so like they're not getting another turn. And everybody agrees to tie, and I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't cheat out a win. I still have 12 points. Hopefully this doesn't bite me in the butt. And then after all the rounds are calculated, 12 points is second place. So I get seeded right into the finals. So I have like a 25% chance for Guy's Cradle.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so.
How was your round 4?
My round four, a lot of people dropped, obviously. So it was a 3-man pod. We had Timna Thrash on seat one, had Urza on seat two, and I was on Redshift in seat three. And uh, it was a little bit of back and forth. I mean, there was plenty of interaction. I was mainly going land pass, land pass, land pass because apparently that round my deck decided, hey, we'll give you all your land.
But you'd also just put it together like what, the Thursday before, so you'd only had
Uh,
it together 2 days.
yeah, I finished it the Thursday before, sleeved it up Friday, and wrote the deck list Saturday morning. That morning,
Oh wow.
yeah,
I mean, you did pretty good considering. Like, yeah,
yeah, oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of my favorite color combinations.
yeah,
I've noticed that there's some problems that I'm gonna try to work through. I think that's what I really enjoy with that. But let's go ahead and get into the round.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, so Tim the Thrash was basically keeping Urza in check, and then I was kind of doing what I could, but I wasn't really doing much. Like I said, I could play a spell here and there. Nothing that was pushing me towards a win or helping me dig towards a win. And then the Urza player, he ended up winning, but he did the mech, the
oh,
copies,
imposter mech, yeah,
imposter mech, because Tim the Thrash put out a devoted druid.
oh yeah, yeah,
So
That's so funny.
and his Urza was countered like twice.
yeah,
So he had a lot to pay. He barely had enough. He barely had enough blue mana available after
yeah.
Imposter Mech
I was about
to
to
get
say,
Urza, and I think he even passed turn. He ended up
mm,
having to pass turn once because he couldn't find what he needed to.
The Urza doesn't need a color pip to do its.
yeah, it's 5, and then you just cast your entire deck. But I mean, maybe they because it's weird because like technically it's not a Thassa combo because it depends on when you hit Thassa and like all that. It's a weird win line.
Yeah, it wasn't something that I normally saw.
Yeah,
I do know that. I think I'm not sure how he did it, but I know that he had the Imposter Mech up that was creating the infinite green mana, and he had to go another turnaround
yeah, yeah,
So
to get the
awesome.
win. So he might not have cast Urza that turn that he played.
yeah,
Mm.
Might have been the next turn, and then he won. Uh, yeah, it was crazy. It'd been a while since I've seen like Urza in any kind
yeah.
of tournament. So
And
Usually mono blue is the changeling guy. I always forget the name.
all form.
Yeah, Alvar the all form. If somebody's running mono blue.
It's to me it's better than the 99, the Urza. But I mean I can definitely see especially if somebody plays devoted druid.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's crazy.
that Imposter Mech is just awesome.
It's so good.
You can run blue green, so if you're running a Timber Thrash, there's no reason not to have it because you can copy
No,
your own devoted druid.
or just a bowmaster and just be like, yeah, I don't care. Or you can copy your opponent's or op agent and just be like, we are never searching again.
no, it has to pick an opponent's.
It has to pick an
Yeah.
It has to
opponent's.
pick an opponent. Which thank God because
Well, so there's combos now with endurance of vitality where you can any clone you copy endurance, and then whenever that clone dies there's a delayed trigger where it comes back and is an enchantment, and you can reclone anything like based on like the restriction on the clone, but like you could clone your own enduring vitality or someone else's, it dies, it comes back as an enchantment, and then you target the druid, and it because it's an enchantment, it doesn't have power and toughness, you just get unlimited green like that too.
that's
Like
awesome.
it's green farm's pretty good right now. uh
Yeah, that was my round.
And that was it for our end of
yeah,
the tournament.
so I get seeded into second place. I don't even have to play the semifinals, so I take like a much needed break. I just had an injury with my foot, and like I've been walking around a whole bunch, so my foot's not feeling all that great. And it was really, really hot in there for some reason. Like,
Oh, it did get so
yeah,
hot.
they had someone had complained that it was too cold, so they like turned it up, but like heat rises, so like, and there's a lot of big like bodies in there, so it gets heated up really quickly. And like we're literally sitting there like talking between rounds, and I'm just like, look at this. And I like wipe my forehead and I like show my hands and they're all like glistening
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff.
I remember
Yeah.
that, I remember that.
And I was just like, I need to walk to go get water, but my foot hurts. So I like go get water, just have a bunch, and I'm just like, I'm these are untimed rounds. Hopefully they're not like several hours and we get like a semifinal pretty quickly. All the players that were there were, really good. I mean, a guy's cradle was on the line, so it was like a full hour and a half semifinals, and then we get to the finals, pretty much exact same pot as round 3. Magda in seat 1, me seat 2, Tyam seat 3, and then instead of, Rog Thras, it's my Blue Farm friend from seat 4, or, in seat 4 from round 4. So I've gone against all of these people, and I do not have brewer's advantage anymore. Everybody's just like, "We need to kill Hash." Like, I
Don't let it hit the field.
yeah, I can see everybody's just like, Magda is scary in seat 1, but Tyam can somewhat deal with it. But Hashaton's scary because Hashaton doesn't cast. It's just abilities. Um, and I'm feeling pretty good. The entire table goes down to 6, and I have like a really good 7. Magda has a really strong start, putting out a haste enabler dwarf, so they can tap that dwarf with Magda, get a treasure from tapping the dwarf, and then Magda can swing. So it guarantees 2 treasures on turn 2, which is like stupid. um, for me, I cast a dark ritual, I drop a mana rock, I drop a tiny bones joins up, and I drop all of my opponents 1 card. So like they basically went down to 5, and I kept my first 7, so I'm feeling pretty good. Nothing of note is discarded, mostly lands from them. Tyam sets up, Blue Farm sets up. It's pretty clear that the game is just gonna be me and Magda, and one of us will somewhat win. Uh, Magda is on board turn 2, drops a Graph Digger's Cage for Tyam and me, so I can't resurrect anything. And then Tyam just can't activate Tyam, so they're not in a very good spot while that's there. And then they collect a bunch of treasures. I get Hashaton on board with a Fierce Guardianship in my hand on turn 2 and pass. Tyam and Blue Farm still kind of out of it. They're still setting up. Magda attempts to drop a Lifecraft engine, which is a changeling artifact dwarf, basically. So like infinite treasures if they can do it right. Um, I'm just like, let me read it because I really don't want to bust a Fierce Guardianship on it, but I know it's pretty much between me and them. I'm like, yeah, you can't have that. Like Fierce Guardianship.
Wait, what was it that they dropped?
Lifecraft engine from Aether.
Okay.
So it's a 3 cost vehicle that they can crew it. I think it's like a 3/3 when they crew it, but it's a changeling. And it gives you name the creature type when it ETBs, and all creatures get +1/+0 of that. But it also turns into a dwarf as well. So it's like a big problem. And they're trying to sneak it on. I'm just like, I really don't want a Fierce Guardianship, but if I let this resolve, this is literally lost. So like, cool. Um, on my turn, I drop a Necropotence because I have enough black. I know I need to craft my hand because I'm just like, Magda's gunning. The other 2 are behind. Like this is my window. I need to win pretty soon. Um, I don't have enough mana to drop a creature with Hashaton, so I go to down to 10 life and make sure that I can keep like a really nice crafted 7. I have an Ancient Tomb out, and it's really moving my life down pretty quickly on top of the Necropotence. But I'm just like, I know Magda's gonna lock down the field, and if Magda doesn't, Tyam is. So like, it's time to go. uh, Magda plays a Magus of the Moon on their turn, and I have an Arcane Signet out. So it's gonna be the only mana that I have, and it's tapped. So I know on my turn I'll only have 1 colored mana. I specifically kept an Elish Norn in hand to drop to reset the board for Magda and just take out all of their stuff, but I need 2 white. So I'm just like really sad on this Magus of the Moon. Um, Magda tutors a Portal to Phyrexia, wiping the board, except for Time, who keeps their commander. But Portal can't bring those creatures back, which is like the better part of it because of Graph Diggers on Magda's side. So I'm like, this isn't scary, but I mean, it's a field wipe. Yeah.
Mm.
So my turn, I have the one colored mana and I have an enlightened tutor, so I'm like, I'm gonna go get a Mox Diamond, uh, and then I exile it with Necropotence so that I'll draw it on my next turn because I can't draw anymore with Necropotence. I don't have anything to cast for 5 red. And I pass with 15 life and I have no blockers. I know Magda can hit me for about 7. So Tyam is still scared of me, moves to combat and hits me for 3. And I'm just like, why? Like, and then they play in Aura Shards and then they play a creature to follow it up and they remove the portal to Phyrexia. So I think they're kind of in a like, I can deal with Magda, but I can't deal with um, both of them. So they play the Aura Shards and they start looking at my board, and I'm like, I don't care about Necropotence. I really need this Arcane Signet. You'll be very glad you left it. And then they play the Phyrexian that you can only cast one Phyrexian spell a turn, and all non-Phyrexian creatures come in tapped. And he's like, I hit you for 3, but I'm gonna play this. So like whatever Magda brings out will come in tapped. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. But Magda knows that I'm going to wipe out their board and like set them back to the Stone Age because I had to say something because they were going to blow up my Arcane Signet. So like Blue Farm is just sitting there the entire time and it's like, I'm a 4-color deck and all I have is red. Like, pass. No board. Uh, and then Magda lays down a bark form harvester, which does not come in tapped because it's a changeling. And they can do another spell after that. And I'm like, oh man, like that's it. But I'm sitting there and I'm like in my head trying to calculate it. And I'm like, okay, I'm at 12. Time hit me for 3. So I went from 15 to 12. I think Magda can only do 10. So I'm like, pretty good. Magda had a barbarian ring, but because of Magus of the Moon, couldn't kill me with it. So I'm like, I think they're gonna misplay, and I'll have 2 life, and then I'll be able to like reset the board, maybe do something. So they moved combat, hit me, and then they go to do the barbarian ring, and Blue Farm's like, no, that's a mountain. And he's like, oh dang. Well, I guess I'll just cast this, and it's a delayed blast fireball that deals 2 damage to each player and each creature. And I have a pact in hand, and I'm just like, I could cast the pact and then just die on my upkeep, but I don't want to do that. Like that's not fair. And everybody's like, no, you should do that. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I was like, can you guys deal with this? Because like our only hope is that I get this Phyrexian or Elish Norn out and like gives everything -2/-2, takes Magda out of the game, and like I'll have to figure out how to get some more life. You know? And then they're just like, no, we don't have anything for it. We don't have anything for it. And I was just like, I guess I'd just die. Like I could pact this, but like it doesn't really make sense for me to spite play. Like I'll just die. So I'm like there and I shuffle up and I'm like, well, at least I get like a front row seat to like watch the game. Um, and then each player passes their turn with no actions because all they have are mountains. And I'm like, I could help that. I could help that guy.
Oh yeah.
And then Magda, has an artifact dwarf on field. Clearly can go for infinite treasures. Gets Magda the horde master out. Family podcast.
Or
Horde, yeah.
It's
And makes infinite 4/4 dragons with haste before combat, and then just wins the match and wins the foil graded 9 guys cradle there. And I mean, it was a really good game. I knew that I had to go pretty deep because Magda was going to win, and I did have exactly what I needed to stop Magda. They were just really smart and played the Magus of the Moon, so they ended up getting the foil graded 9 foil guy's cradle that was graded 9. But the event organizers, they came back, they had special shirts for top 4, so we put the shirts on, got pictures, and then they came and gave everybody 5 $100 bills. So
that's
for
awesome.
yeah, so for my full day of playing Magic, I got $500 cash, which was really cool. Like I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what could I buy for $500? Like this is gonna fund like so much stuff. And I was just thinking about it, I was like, in my like Magic career, I've won like almost $1,500 just playing tournaments at this point because this is my third top 4 or higher, like, cash finish. I was just like, "Oh, man, this is really cool." And then, Ghost had stayed to watch, and I was just like, "My brain is, like, putty right now. Can we go get, like, food?" And then we still had, like, the hour-long drive
Oh,
home.
yeah.
And I get home, and it's midnight, and I'm just like, it's crash out. I'm gonna go, like, put this $500 up, crash out. It was a really cool event, even cooler because I top forward, but lot of fun. And it was really fun to top four with a new commander where everybody was like, I don't really know what he does, and then at the end they were like, "Oh, he's a huge problem. Let's all kill him." And even with everybody kind of like all going for me, I was very close still. Like with a Magda, somewhat unchecked still. Like
But is there a better, Esper toolbox out there?
no. I think Hasherton could have won it all. I really think the only thing that I regret, and really it's not my fault, was the tie-in player was like knew that they had to take me out. Um, and I had to say something about how I could reset the game with Magda. So Magda, unfortunately, I had to give information that I could take Magda's board out, and Magda was like, "Oh no, I gotta kill him." Like maybe I could have just stayed quiet and just let him take out my arcane signet. I don't really know what I would have done then, but like uh I don't think there was a better way for me to play that game. It's just I was very scary and two people that weren't really doing much were more scared of me than Magda. Really because I had a necropotence and I get it because Magda has to cast things I don't really have to. But I'm overall, I mean, I'm pretty happy with my performance and especially the performance of Hashtag.
I as far as Tivit goes, I feel like it's still a little slow. Um, I like it, but I think I'm gonna try Blue Farm again just to see. But the tournament was fun in general.
I mean, the next set looks like it's gonna not like the Final Fantasy set, but the Into Eternities looks like it's gonna be a pretty heavy artifact set.
And I mean I could always rebuild it,
Yeah,
but I have no we did so many tournaments over the last month or two. I just
yeah,
there's none in the future of this month.
yeah. And,
Maybe next month.
Edge of Eternities is also an August release, so that's pretty far away.
Yeah, let it go for a minute.
Yeah.
But what was a big takeaway you had, Whimsy, of the tournament?
It was fun, and that, I need to do something to make the deck a little bit more consistent, whether it's, digging for my combo pieces or something to that effect. I don't know if I need to play some stacks pieces to slow everyone else down while I go, but it's definitely something that I'm looking at. And that's what I really love about it. It's, you know, get to play this game with your friends, make new friends, and you get to learn something, and that's the main thing that I'm taking away from it is that there's so much potential for the deck. I might be reading too much potential into it, but I'm going to do whatever I can.
I don't think you're reading too much into it. I mean, I think when we reviewed the set, we acknowledged that deck or that commander as a goblin like to watch out for.
Yeah, I think that deck really the only problem with it is the colors because it's like you have a lot to assemble, so you got to take a lot of time to like put stuff together. But then also you don't have much in the way of counters. So like the three counters that you're probably running, you're just like, I gotta hold on.
Well, I mean, you kind of have four because you got Tibalt's trickery.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean,
That
that's
one's two though. Like it's kind of for CDH, it's expensive and also like please to vault trickery.
yeah,
Like,
and also like deflecting swat. I mean, you could almost
yeah,
count
that's
that
true.
as
Yeah.
a counter spell as well. So
I think that it's one of those decks that people look at and they're like, this is an issue. What it does, I'm not exactly there yet, but it's probably going to do something crazy.
Well, also I think the only thing holding it back too is it's pretty easy to get enough mana to drop your permanents, but in those colors, it's like, okay, how am I? filling my hand so that I can drop enough permits to win the game, I think is like the question the deck needs to answer.
Yeah, and I mean, Duskwatch Recruiter does a great job
Yeah.
if you get that infinite activated ability.
And there's the new one, Ether, too. So you have two of them.
Yeah,
That one specifically gets any permanent.
and then I mean, what I think the mono green loot gets creatures too. It costs more to
Yeah.
activate his ability, but
I think greater good also, like you just draw most if not all of your deck whenever you get like when you get them big enough, and then you can just like resummon them,
but
hopefully.
but you got to be real careful.
Yeah, yeah.
Got to be real
'Cause
careful.
it's you have to draw that much. So, like, let's say you get it up to, like, 80 and you look and you only have 75 cards, you're like, "Well, I'll kill myself if I sack 'em now." Like,
Mm.
Yeah,
yeah.
and
It's not a brain turn off interaction.
and what's great is that most of the cards in the deck, except for like your instants and the few sorceries, are either something that's to try to help you find your combo piece, or it's something that's going to let you filter that mana where it's usable for something else.
Do you and maybe I'm just not really grasping it. Does it go infinite? Is that what it does?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it goes infinite. Like think of
Infinite.
Savala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get Umber Mantle, it builds up the power, and a couple activations, and you're just building the power up
Did
by itself.
do you
And
run ballista?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, that is one of the outlets because even if I just cast it for 2,
You could still.
Yeah.
if I get to activate the abilities, then I can just put all
Yeah.
those counters on there. So it's a great outlet, uh, and there's plenty of cards that filter the mana to where it's usable to cast spells,
Hmm.
or you can activate abilities that deal damage to target creature or player, or deals damage to each opponent.
I think we looked at crackling what crackle with power, or no, that one couldn't do it because it's got to be a
No.
creature.
I mean, I was looking at Garuk because you can just make the Garuk and the new Tyvar because you can just make your whole field giant. You're like, well, I can't draw my deck, but I can kill somebody, if not everybody. Like,
That's awesome. Yeah. I was I was sitting there on your last one and kind of chatting with some of the guys that were there, and they were pretty surprised that Hashatan was in the top. Uh,
yeah, a lot of people were, and I'm just like, he's great. Like,
the blue farm guy, I think he said he was going to try to drop off a blue farm.
mhm.
Um, doesn't deter me from wanting to play it, but I just thought it was interesting that he's kind of done with it.
Yeah, he's moved a lot. He did. Um, I know the name, the non-family friendly name of the deck, the
Timna, I'm sorry, Tim.
Timna, and then the Bird Parrot. He was playing that for a while. I know the name of the deck. It's Femboy Farm, but like,
I can't think of the daggum.
we're 2 hours and 30 minutes into the podcast. We get.
Yeah, I guess so. I
But he was on a lot of like Esper commanders, and then I was just like, Tom's really good. Like,
So maybe you inspired someone.
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
but But yeah, man, the tournament was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I liked the venue.
I $500 enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
yeah, the venue was really cool. And also thank you, Wizards Whimsy, for joining us on our podcast.
I appreciate being here. I like y'all's content. I like hearing about the sets coming out and how you break it down for like CEDH, or even just casual play. And definitely love hearing about the tournaments.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have some more tournaments coming up, some more collabs coming up, and we got a ban list coming. So maybe we push this a week, and you guys have listened to our ban list discussions because it's that big. But yeah, had a lot of fun going. A lot of fun playing with you guys.
I look forward to the next one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Always.
Till next time,
All
keep
right.
slinging those spells.
Yep. See
Bye.
ya. Bye.